How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad.
What have you been up to?
Still on strike, so still divvying about in the garden, still taking the dog for a walk, still going to the gym, and that's about it, really.
What happens in terms of wages when you're on strike? Do you get paid? Or?
I'm covered 90% by my union, so I'm losing 10% of my salary.
Right. But you're probably saving that in travelling?
Yeah. Well, I get my money. I get a certain portion of my mileage paid for me by by work anyway. So,
Alright, so you're not feeling the benefits of the 10% loss?
Not really.
No.
Like I say, I'm selling things on Vinted to try and bridge the gap.
Any end line?
Yeah, we only look at all. I'm coming back on Monday unless there's an extension to the strikes. So,
right. Have we got anywhere with the negotiations or not?
Not as far as I've heard. No.
No,
we're still fighting the good fight. Unfortunately, it's just one of those that doesn't appear to be going away anytime soon. But I've been rather enjoying watching Man United. We've had a good couple of couple of games there. Yeah, I watched Everton against Tottenham on Sunday. That was disappointing.
Yeah. But you're aiming that at me, are you?
Little bit.
Yeah,
little bit.
Well, I mean, by all accounts, I didn't watch the game. Well, I watched bits of it.
Yeah.
But by all accounts, we played fairly well. We just something that we're normally really good at, set pieces, defending them. We didn't defend.
No. Yeah, I mean, I saw the graphic that said that you were the only team that hadn't conceded from set pieces at all in the beginning of the season, and then you conceded two.
Yeah, and the game was gone after that.
And then the game was gone after that. Yeah, you looked a lot better when that substitute striker came on. I've forgotten his name. He's new, quite a new guy.
The centre forward?
Yeah.
It wasn't Beto, but he came off of Beto, didn't he?
Yeah. So Beto came off.
Oh, what's his name?
Don't know. I'm sure he was number 11. Yeah, he looked a bit good.
Oh, it wasn't Alcaraz, was it?
No. He came on very late on. You signed him from Villarreal.
Yeah, you know what?
I can't remember his bloody name.
I should know off the top of my head.
I say we run a football podcast and I can't for the life of me.
Yeah, but we do sort of hone in on the non-league sector.
It's
rather
not
than
really our sort of focal point of strength, is it? No. How did you get on with the results?
I've not checked yet.
I will. Franklin.
Listen, I've been extremely busy, but I mean, when I had a little bit of free time today, I was on the treadmill and I was watching the I Had Trials Once interview with Aaron Hunt, the Daisy Hill chairman.
Okay.
And he was obviously putting people straight on the reasons why he sacked Lee Hill and the reasons why he arrived at the club in the first place.
I mean, there's two sides to every story, and somewhere in the middle you'll find the truth.
Yeah.
But you'll never find it.
But you know what I found really bizarre was that Gareth Seddon, who's one of the presenters on there, he actually turned around and said, I don't understand all this TikTok and making money through... He actually produced the words that I'd already been saying all along, and I've been lost an interview from it.
Oh God!
Yeah. So he's basically said the same as what I said. I can't understand how people make money out of filming themselves on the PlayStation.
No, I don't either. Okay, that's a. I didn't know. I don't know.
Well, listen.
Okay.
A few things that I did find out was one that for the first time first time since I've seen it is that he no longer claims to be the owner. He's the chairman.
Oh, okay.
He also claimed that he came to the club and he's not put a penny into it. The idea behind it was, listen, we all know it's a bottomless pit, and he hasn't got the kind of finances the Abramoviches in the world, so he's not going to. You start spending your money and then it quickly goes, and like he says, I think he's got 2 daughters and a wife. And probably a mortgage. Yeah. Yeah.
God.
But he's old enough.
He's younger than me.
Is he? I don't know how old he is.
He's about 29, 30, something like that.
Is he? You've shocked me there. I thought he was older than that.
Just tough paper around in Bolton.
Yeah, well, anyway, what he said was that he wanted the club to be self-sufficient. He wanted to make sure that any money that went into the football club was sustainable, which is commendable. So he's done things the right way. What he said is that he wanted to be able to influence people to come out and support, sponsor, and I think he's done that to
he did it once, didn't he? They had a really good opening gate when he first arrived, and then after that, no.
Yeah, I think he said one of his committee members turned around and said that if you've got a gate of over 100, you're doing well at Daisy Hill. So I think they've been averaging around about 200, have they, something like that?
I think a little bit less than that, give or take. I think it's
big gates and they have shorter gates in the weekend. Sorry, not the weekend, but midweek.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But I enjoyed listening to it.
Okay.
And I noticed they've started their own sort of magazine style football show now, talking about everything, sort of veering away from the interviews a little bit.
You mean the way that exactly how we're doing ours?
Yeah. But listen,
where they got that idea?
I mean, their setup is... Listen, I love the show, by the way.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's like loving the enemy.
I love watching it. I love watching all kinds of podcasts, to be honest with you.
Frankly,
I like listening to them more than I like watching them. Which, given the fact that we're just audio only at this moment in time, suits me and suits anybody that's listening to it. But listen, I think we've got a show to do, so should we get on with it?
We might as well get on with it then.
Hello and welcome to the Speaking Frankly Football Show. I'm Frank Hughes, the chairman of Skelmersdale United Football Club, and alongside me is my co-host and passionate press officer AJ the Jet. Not that being involved with the football club is a prerequisite for hosting a football podcast, but it certainly helps. We are ready to dive headfirst into the vibrant world of non-league football in the Northwest, and we might even take a moment to discuss some of the bigger headlines in the sport. We'll explore life in the Northwest counties, bring you interviews with well-known faces in the league, and analyse how local teams are performing while making bold predictions for their upcoming matches. Nothing is off the limits here. We'll be diving into all kinds of topics, including complicated refereeing decisions and regulations that often leave fans perplexed. We want to hear from you too. This is your show, so don't hesitate to reach out with topics you want us to tackle. Let's get this conversation started and enjoy every single moment. We are speaking frankly. Hello and welcome to the Speaking Frankly Football Show. This is Season 2, Episode 17. A warm welcome to my co-host, AJ.
Beat you, Frank.
I thought we'd start at the top, wouldn't we? We've just been counting up the statistics.
From last week.
You got 25 correct results and I got 24. Actually, I was a bit surprised that I got that many, to be honest.
That's a great effort, to be fair.
Yeah.
We're doing quite well on these. I think we're probably averaging about 50% correct there, maybe 60.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah, on the show today, we'll check in on the Northwest counties as we usually do across the Division 1 North, South and Premier League. We're going to give you the latest news out of Marine, Southport, Chester, Macclesfield, Prescott Cables and Trafford. We're going to visit a controversial corner where discipline is the focal point of the conversation. We're going to as well mention the great Jamie Curitan as well. In part 2, Dave Dempsey is going to be our special guest here, the Burscough manager. And then in part 3, we're going to talk all things Skelmersdale United, do the Northwest Counties roundup full of predictions and expert analysis. First.
Yeah, well listen, we'll start at the top of the show because we will be speaking to Dave Dempsey in the second part of the show. So we'll talk about Burscough very briefly and catch up with him. So a difficult week for Burscough, back-to-back defeats.
Yes.
But they lost 3-1 to Didsbury and on Saturday they lost 1-0. Sorry, on Tuesday they lost 1-0 to Chadderton. Prior to that they were top of the form table. But apart from that they can't be too disappointed because they're two teams that are going to be there or thereabouts at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think so. We talked about Chadderton and how strongly they've started the season, and I think the way that they set up to play is very counter-attacking advantageous. So once they got into the lead, it's very difficult to try and break them down. So I think Dave and Burscough can probably take a bit of heart from the defeats there, knowing that they're against teams that are going to be challenging towards the top of the table.
But listen, it'll be an interesting conversation anyway, because we want to sort of revisit the situation where he left Burscough to go to Prescott only to come back.
Yes.
There was something that he wanted to put the record straight because there wasn't a great deal of news available to us to find out exactly the reasons why. But listen, I'm pretty sure Dave will be able to put us straight on that.
Yes, I think he will. Yeah, and it'll be really interesting to see exactly how events all unfolded. Now, Glossop North End, we reported to you last week that they'd sacked manager Richard Brodie after a very long and unfortunate run devoid of wins. 7 straight defeats in a row anyway. Glossop, as per Sod's Law, won 2-0 at home to Charnock Richard on Saturday. The new manager is yet to be revealed. However, their current assistant manager is stepping into the hot seat temporarily to bridge the gap. And he started off quite well with a win under his belt.
Yeah, listen, I think that would have come anyway. Myself, personally.
I think you're probably right, yeah. I think it's unfortunate for Glossop that Conor Berry's had a very short-lived experience at Glossop North End. He moved on to Chadderton in the week. But even without him up front, and with the loss of Liam Fitzpatrick to that horrible double leg break, they still managed to win by 2-0 and keep a clean sheet in the process. Excellent result for the boys out of the Asgard Stadium there.
Yeah, listen, let's move on to Ramsbottom. Steve Wilkes has his team on the march, so to speak. They're now unbeaten in the last 7 outings in all competitions. And following their 3-0 win over Prestwich Hayes on Tuesday night, they replaced Padiham at the top of the table. Now, ironically, Padiham lost to Hayes at the weekend, proving they are far from the invincible force we first thought they were.
Yeah, we did. The game between Rami and Prestwich Hayes, I won't say that it was a procession, but Ramsbottom do look every bit the team that are fighting to go up and will probably be there or thereabouts come season end. We may even sort of go so far as to say they look like the champions elect if they can withstand this current run of form. Harvey White scoring 2 absolutely fantastic goals there for Rami. On the Tuesday night, they're sandwiching a Richard Baker goal in proceedings there. In front of a good crowd as well on the Tuesday night, 245 turning out at the Harry Williams Riverside Stadium to see Ramsbottom win there. So they're top of the table.
You can only pay cash.
You can only pay cash there.
Normally you say that, you see. So.
I normally do. It probably goes to show how long it's been since we mentioned Rami. But Padiham do still have a game in hand on the Rams, and there is only a point difference between them. So this could be a serious 2-horse race through the end of the season.
Should we move to the bottom of the table?
We should, yeah. It's very unfortunate, to be honest, but very little surprise if we report to you that Little and Remy are still at the bottom of the table. Started the season off with a draw and a win, but have now lost 19 straight games on the bounce. Jamie Rainford is finding this a pretty big mountain to climb since he got in 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I think once the financial plug is pulled, one assumes there's not a great deal of money there in terms of budgets.
No.
It's very, very difficult to prize yourself off the bottom. We've been in that position.
We certainly have, yeah. There's already an 8-point gap between themselves and Abbey Hay in second bottom, and Abbey Hay have 2 games in hand on Remy. So with already 1 win and 1 draw and 16 defeats, 11 goals scored and 41 conceded, it is looking perilous for Remy already.
A similar comparison to what we would have been under Pascal Chimbonda at the same stage.
Yeah, and I think
United have been slightly better off points.
Yeah, I think the evidence is comparable with last season as well, when we'd just secured 2 draws at this stage last season from our opening allotment of games. It took us till the end of November to get our first win under our belt. So Remy are ahead of us there, but it is looking parlous.
And I'm not trying to put words in anybody's heads, but I mean, in terms of Jamie Rainford, relatively new manager, what will he be thinking now?
If I'm Jamie Rainford, I'm thinking, how do I fix this? Is it the tactics? Is it the personnel? Do I need a bigger budget? What kind of budget can I work off? Do I dare push for more? Is there anything that's going to help the club from the outside? Who do I know? There'll be about 6,000 different questions floating around in his head as to how and sort of drag his team out of the mire. He may even be tempted to dust off his boots and get back on the pitch himself.
Yeah, well, they're short of goal power, aren't they?
They certainly are. They are, by as I suppose you'd expect, really, by far and away the lowest goal scorers in the division. There's only Glossop North End who haven't already passed the 20 goal mark in terms of goals scored. It's just every single fact and figure to do with Remy at the minute is looking quite perilous.
Yeah, and movers and shakers in that. Do you see any teams in the middle of the table there that could make an assault on the playoff positions?
Well, given that we've still got about 30-odd games of the season left, I'd say that I don't think you can rule out Atherton are. They're the only team in the division yet to draw a game with 8 wins and 8 defeats. Yeah. And I think some of those Dave will, look at and see quite disappointing. But that being said, they are newly promoted, and they do have a good, strong squad. So you wouldn't count them out at all. I think the other team I'd probably look at there with is Earlham. Yeah, I mean they're 8th, so they only have a little bit of work to do to get back up into the playoff spots. Currently occupied by Padiham, West Didsbury, Wythenshawe and Burscough. As we sort of discussed last season, you can never really rule out Earlham for making a challenge there from Silver Street.
And FC St Helens still.
Well, FC St Helens did this last year, didn't they? They started off really, really well. Having a tremendous run of form, and then it dropped off a little bit sort of from February onwards, and they're rematching that particular vein of form this year, sitting in 6th, 8 wins, 5 draws, 5 defeats. So I think Mikey Smith will be sort of quite pleased with how it's gone so far. They're still within good range of the playoff chasers. And I think this will get an awful lot more interesting over the next couple of months.
And climbing out of that sort of bottom 3 region now, FC Isle of Man have done particularly well under their new management structure. Yeah,
so FC Isle of Man had a brilliant result at the weekend. They beat... who is it they beat now? Let's have a look. You'd think I would know this already.
Well, I think it's because the game doesn't get played until 6 o'clock, does it? If it's away.
It's City of Liverpool. Yeah, so they beat City of Liverpool at the community ground. 2 quick-fire goals in the opening half hour from Joe Middleton and Dean Pinnington, securing them 3 points back across the Irish Sea to the island. They've now jumped above Abbey Hay and AFC Liverpool into 21st and now joint on points with City of Liverpool and just a point behind Exton Villa in 19th. So there's a little bit of movement there from the FC Isle of Man, but it is good and promising so far.
And a good start for the new manager Rick Holden, former ex-Manchester City player.
At FC Isle of Man?
Yeah.
Stunning, that.
Yeah, really.
So, very much so. So I think I'm sure Rick knows that his team do need to shore up their concession of goals. 45 conceded in 18 games. That's on average of just over 3 a game. He's got to shore that up, quite dramatically here. But he's made a good start there with just the 1 goal conceded against City of Liverpool.
Yeah. Division 1 North, Daisy Hill. Nicky Hunt appears to have calmed Daisy Hill's fears by producing a team that is finding it more difficult to lose than win. So they're now unbeaten in the last 4 games, 2 wins and a draw in the league. Has pulled them from the bottom 3 in Tuesday night's 2-0 win in the Edward Case Cup means that they've progressed to the second round.
Yeah, very much so. So I think they'll probably be indebted to one player who's managed to score all of their last 5 goals, Liam Shepherd. So he scored 2 in the midweek cup game against Ashton Athletic, and then he followed that one up with a hat-trick away at Thornton Cleveland's to take the points from the Far Coast back to rural Bolton. It's a terrific turn of form for Shepherd and from Daisy Hill, who've now jumped up from third bottom. They've surpassed MSB Woolton, now have a reasonably healthy goal difference right now and are bearing down on the teams directly above them, including Thornton Cleveland's, AFC Blackpool, Squiresgate and Cone. So Nicky Hunt appears to be getting a bit of a grasp there on his team and how he wants them to play and how he wants them to win. Reasonably good crowd out to the Ginge Power Stadium, 104 turning out in the midweek game against Ashton Athletic, and there should be more to come at the weekend.
It appears that Nicky Hunt must be tapping into his sort of professional days and getting a few favours here and there.
You would hope that.
Well connected.
I mean, he is well connected. He's had a really good connection with Atherton Collieries and our old mate Michael Clegg. So I've no doubt that Cleggy might be doing him a favour, which is reasonable. Yeah. We'd ask for the same if it was us. And he's getting the hang of things over at Daisy Hill. I'm sure he's well financed and well backed in that regard as well.
So at the top of the division, leaders Nelson are in pole position now. They've won an incredible 12 games on the bounce since Aaron Ripley took over. Now, if anybody has forgotten, he was on the show at the beginning of October. He's done extremely well.
Yeah, he's done extremely well. Yeah, we knew that Aaron might be in this position to start influencing proceedings at Nelson. He's benefited a little bit from a drop in form from Drorsden, who are winless in their last 4 games, I think it is. Even McGull having a little slip here and there, but that's taking absolutely nothing away from Nelson and how they're playing and how they are churning out the results at the minute. So they beat Ashton Town by 2-0 at the weekend. Max Kane and another goal by Luke Heppel, securing them the 3 points at Little Wembley. It appears that the crowds are turning back up again as well. 185 turning out in Little Wembley to see that game there.
Still only played 9 games, and surprisingly, they've scored 14 goals and conceded 13. It's a bizarre position to be in.
Yeah, they're not exactly cantering to the victories by 3 and 4 and 5, are they? But at the same time, it doesn't look like they're really conceding any goals either. It's only Holker Old Boys and AFC Blackpool who've got a better concession rate of goals than their 13. Mind you, they're not exactly scoring goals for fun either. McGull have scored over double Nelson's output, and Drorsden 1 goal away from scoring double theirs. Forward Amateurs have even scored almost double the output that Nelson have, but it's Nelson at the top of the table.
Yeah, going back to Drorsden and their player Emmanuel Ujo. I didn't know.
You're not exactly Mr. Worldwide, are you?
Well, no, I did look. I did Google the pronunciation of his surname, Emogogaby, something like that. Anyway, decided to go on Twitter and apologise to the supporters but has suffered a backlash when people accused him acting like a Premiership footballer. The following post went viral with nearly 9 million impressions when I last read it. Apologies for our recent performances. The fans of the club deserves more than that we've given them, and I am disappointed. We will get it right, I promise. Now listen, a lot of people have they've made their feelings completely clear about this and said it's a little bit too
over the top.
Do you think it is?
Yes and no. I think if he were playing for most other teams, he could probably just walk round the edge of the pitch and say sorry to the fans that are turning up. But because it's Droylsden, and Droylsden, as we know, have a much bigger gate and a much bigger following than most other teams at this level, it's probably a bit more difficult for him to do.
Well, I think the critics have forgotten that.
I think they probably have. They've probably forgotten the name of who they're dealing with here. It is Droylsden. They still average 400 or 500 team fans per game, which is really good at our level. So it's a reasonable post to make, but at the same time, is it up to him to kind of do this? Really? I mean, it wasn't just the. It wasn't just the tweet. It was the fact that it came accompanied by a picture of Rugby in a black and white filter, sitting on the ground with his head in his hands. It was all a bit dramatic.
The idea that maybe it was a little bit of self-promotion in the first place?
Possibly, yeah.
I think it's quite refreshing that a player at that level can apologise for the lack of form.
Yeah. I suppose at the end of the day, Droylsden is a team supported, isn't it? And that means something to the fans. And so if they're going without good, consistent results, which they are at the minute, their form's seeing them slip away from top spot at the minute, then maybe it deserves to be addressed by the players who, play for the badge and for the shirt.
Yeah, well, listen, hopefully it'll start a resurgence and they'll start getting the results that they need to get back on top again. Listen, McGulla tucked between both teams in second place.
Yeah.
With Sam Smith, Darren Brannigan and Jacob Till scoring 22 goals between them, so it's hardly surprising. They're doing really, really well in terms of scoring goals.
They are, yeah. So there was just the two on Tuesday night when they took on Squires Gate, a Sam Smith double late on in the game. In fact, his second goal was in the 97th minute over in FY1, but he's done enough to take the points back for Joey Burns' side, and they look good form so far for challenging Nelson for top spot. They're tied at the minute on points with Droylsden and just a point ahead of Holker Old Boys in fourth. So it's really, really tight between the top 7 teams in the league at the minute. A win for any one of them could see the top 7 just change dramatically.
I suppose a lot of people are thinking or expecting McGull to drop off, and they did a little bit, didn't they? And then they've sort of been resurgent again.
Yeah,
could they be another lower bracket?
They could be another lower
division.
Yeah, they could be another lower
surprise package.
A surprise package. Yeah, I think the number of signings that they've made is more akin to Bury than Lower Breck at this point. I think they've brought in quite a number of high quality personnel, which is reflecting how they're playing on the pitch. But that didn't stop Bacup coming in and spoiling the show when they played them at the weekend, a game which ended in a 2-2 draw in front of 275 over in McGull there. Doing well, yeah. Jacob Till and Darren Brannigan both on the score sheet once for the home side as they secured a draw and secured second place in the league for now while they're at it.
MSB Walton have been dragged into the bottom 3 with Ashton Athletic just below them, and at the bottom of the table is Garstang. Walton finding life difficult in the semi-professional game.
Yeah, look, that transition is always going to be really difficult. MSB Walton, a team well backed, very well backed, strategically and enterprisingly, but. Just having a really difficult time of it at the minute. I don't know whether it's they're struggling to find players or whether the system isn't fitting quite right or something like that. With that being said, they're not bottom, and they're still...
It's a learning curve.
It is going to be a learning curve. It's their first season in the semi-professional flight. They lost to AFC Blackpool, a team very well established at this level.
Yeah, no shame in that.
There's no shame in that and in what they're going through. They did equalise through Jamie Ritzema after the half an hour mark. But then James Hughes has popped up to score the winner just after the hour to keep the points.
Didn't know how James had popped off.
Oh, he's excellent, he's James Hughes.
He's doing all right, isn't he?
Very much so. Yeah,
it must be the high-vis jacket he wears.
It must be the high-vis jacket, indeed. Incidentally enough, the AFC Blackpool MSB Woolton result was initially confirmed to have an attendance of 440 at Jepson Way. It then came to pass that there was a clerical error and their attendance was 40.
Yeah, sounds more like it.
Just 40 rocking up on the coastline there to see the other Tangerines, out in force for that game. But AFC Blackpool, low in numbers they may be, but they're in 12th at the minute and climbing. They've played the least amount of games of anybody within the division. Won half of them, and are still on for a little bit of a surge up the table.
Brilliant. We can move on to the Division 1 South now. Runcorn Town are still top of the league. They won 4-0 at the weekend against Wolverhampton Casuals. They also beat Camelaird 5-4 on penalties Tuesday night to secure their passage into the second round of the Edward Chase Cup. So, still doing well?
Still doing well. Yeah, we knew that Runcorn were going to be well backed this season. We thought that it was going to be a tight challenge between the likes of them, Telford and Stafford. And it has come to pass. Telford are right up there in second place. So Stafford, oddly enough, they're in fifth, but only by virtue of about 7 points and with a game in hand on Runcorn as well. That doesn't take anything away though from Runcorn's excellent form so far. As you say, they beat Wolverhampton Casuals by 4-0 in front of 100 fans over the weekend. Shaquille Lewis scoring 2 and Tom Ruffer once again on target for the league leaders. So yeah, they're setting the pace really early on and managing to hold it well.
So with a 1 win over Barnton, Telford Town maintained their pressure on Runcorn. They're just 4 points adrift with a game in hand. So they're doing particularly well. They're carrying on the good form. Out of the bottom three, only Wolves Sporting Community accrued any points at all as they managed to grab a draw from the jaws of defeat at home to Eccleshall.
That was chaotic. Yeah. 2 goals coming in added time as well. Eccleshall thought that they'd taken the 3 points through Daniel Glover's second of the game in the 92nd minute, but then 94th minute own goal by Eccleshall, giving Wolverhampton Sporting Community a share of the spoils. They're a point much valued and much needed as Wolves Sporting Community continue their fight against relegation, which cut the gap between them and Hormond to 5 points after Hormond suffered defeat at home to Foley Mere.
So Marine, we're moving on to the National League. Marine pulled off a great 2-1 win at Scarborough on Saturday. That followed another great win on the road the week before when they beat Worksop Town, also 2-1. Bobby Grant seems to have turned the corner.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, it took a last-minute goal by Matty McDonald to do it, but it was a tremendous victory against a playoff-chasing Scarborough Athletic over on the east coast of Yorkshire that got it done for them. They matched Scarborough really, really well at times. They had to ride their luck a little bit. There was some good saves by the goalkeeper, the Marines goalkeeper, but it was a really, really good move by Marine to secure the points, and an excellent finish by Matty McDonald, and that consolidates Marine's position in 12th place. Yeah, not looking good for Southport though. They'll be kicking themselves really.
Well, we had two teams that we were a little bit concerned about early doors. Southport being one of them, of course. Marine, who we just talked about. Marine have turned the corner. Southport,
too.
They haven't.
They haven't, no. So they lost 2-0 to Darlington last Saturday, which there's no shame in. Darlington, an excellent team, former professional team as well. But on Tuesday night, they were 2-1 up at home to Peterborough Sports, who were the only team that they were above in the National League North. And unfortunately conceded 2 goals in injury time to see Peterborough off with the 3 points. The pressure on Neil Dan's definitely mounting right now. He's got to wonder what he's got to do to get his team 3 points here.
And pretty much a similar case at Chester. They're obviously a fan-run club, but a few days ago their serving directors made a statement about the club's poor start to the season. Immediately after full-time on Saturday, held extensive discussions with manager Callum McIntyre and his coaching staff regarding the team's recent performances. I won't go deep into their quotes, but one of them was there was an overwhelming consensus that results have not been good enough and that there's a clear need for an immediate improvement. I won't go into the full statement, as I said, because they've clearly tried to appease the supporters with these words, and almost in a sort of veiled way, giving them, or a hidden way, giving them a vote of confidence. I don't know whether you'd agree with that.
Yeah, I think when clubs come out and hold statements about how they've addressed, concerns about a club's poor start to the season, it does often light the warning lights for a manager when they're given a vote of confidence by the board, because it often means that vote of confidence is taken away and a manager is relieved of his duties. Look, the Chester job is really difficult because of the demands that it places on people. We talked about how Dave McNabb feels the heat at Bury on a weekly basis, and I'm absolutely convinced that Callum McIntyre is feeling that. Given that Chester were well in the thick of it for promotion last season, you would hope that they could build on that, but it hasn't gone that way for them. They are about 14th in the table at the minute, and there are teams going to the Diva Stadium in Chester with a real anticipation of being able to beat them. And Chester was known for having a really strong home record last season. I think they only lost about 2 games there all season last season. But this season it's not appearing so. So my belief is that if a club is having to give a team, a manager, a vote of confidence and a statement outlining so, it's usually not a good sign.
No, it doesn't look like that. Listen, talking about Chester, because they have drawn Clitheroe at home in the second round of the FA Trophy. It's a great draw for Clitheroe, of course, and a genuine chance of them progressing further, but it also could be that pivotal point where a decision is made, because if they lose that game, and I think, like I say, Clitheroe have got a good chance of winning that one.
Yeah, I think Sean McConville will be well fired up for it. He's got his team running quite well. Of late, they've had a couple of slip-ups. They lost against Nantwich Town by 3-2 last weekend. But they got on a better footing this weekend by going to Sporting Khalsa, who were the slayers of Bury a couple of weeks ago. And they held out for a thrilling 3-3 draw in the Midlands. So I think Sean will be going into this game against Chester full of ideas and preparation for how his team can beat the team ranked. How many places above them in the league? It's about 10. Got about 20, 18, 20 teams above them in the in the footballing pyramid. So, good guns to Clitheroe. Let's hope you get something.
And those games in the FA Trophy will be played on the 15th of November. Amongst the draws there, Southport have been drawn away to Buxton. Prescott away to Macclesfield.
Good result, good draw. That.
Good draw for them, yeah. We just mentioned the Chester, Clitheroe. Radcliffe are at home to Bradford Park Avenue. Chorley at home to Worksop.
It's a good draw for Chorley.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look if there's any other standout draws there. Obviously, Marine, of course, at home to Stocksbridge Park Steels. Probably the tie of the round there, what I would suggest is probably Torquay United versus Maidstone United.
It's a bit of a clash of two heavyweights, isn't it?
Yeah,
between them there. So we'd be looking forward to results there. Now we're moving on. Macclesfield Town and their continued unwanted association with Forest Green Rovers. Macclesfield released a statement earlier in the week saying, further to our earlier statement regarding the sanction of Sean Etaluku's transfer in principle to Forest Green Rovers, we can confirm that Sean has now completed his move for an undisclosed fee. That was Robbie Savage's fourth signing from his old club, and no wonder Rob Smethurst has stepped down as chairman. He must be tearing his hair out at how Robbie Savage continues to pillage his club for players and talent.
Yeah, I mean, it's really going to test a friendship, one would imagine.
It'll test a friendship. It'll also test Macclesfield as an institution of football. We talk about demands on managers, and I think John Rooney probably has that problem as much as anybody. But I don't know if we talk about it at this level that much. But he and his Macclesfield side doing steadily enough in the Northern Premier League proper, or is it the National League? Are they in the National League now?
Sorry,
Macclesfield.
National
League, aren't they? National League North, yeah. They're doing steadily enough. I think they are sort of 14, 15.
10th.
They're 10th.
Yeah,
that's absolutely fine. But I think for the institution that Macclesfield is and represents, it's probably not good enough. And so they need, they're expecting more. But how can they have more when Forest Green Rovers keep pinching their players? It's frustrating, but probably serves to demonstrate what kind of manager Robbie Savage is at the minute. I think he's turning things around at Forest Green and with Dale Vince as his chairman. So things are going really well for the Green side from Rovers.
And Macclesfield have won their last 3 games.
There we go. So John Rooney's still making excellent progress there. That's sort of going quite under the radar. Yeah. Would you say?
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to Prescott Cables, a good 2-1 win over Guiseley at the weekend, but they lost on Tuesday night to Hyde by 1-0. Hyde, decent team.
Yeah, Hyde are a decent team. Hyde were actually the team that signed Charlie Frost after he rejected a contract from Nelson. So he's certainly jumped up the pyramids there. It's part and parcel of of football, isn't it? Prescott Cables on a steady enough run, but then things happen and they and they've dropped off slightly. They're still 13th, so they're still doing steadily enough. I know Hyde are only just above them in the table, so that's one of those really, really tight games. That unfortunately they came out on the wrong side of. Still got games against Rushall at the weekend, which is going to be very difficult for them, but thoroughly winnable. And then home to Hebburn, a team right below them in the table as well. So they're having a couple of games in and around against teams in and around them in the division. So all opportunities to win. Yeah,
so we're dropping down a little bit. We've dropped down, haven't we, to Prescott Cables now. Trafford Football Club, they've parted company with Carl Margison a few days ago. Tom Baker was quickly announced as his replacement. Tom previously managed the club for 5 years from 2015 to 2020. Margison, for all those that know, was the first manager of FC United of Manchester when the club entered the North West Counties in 2005. And in his 12 years, he managed to get 4 promotions to get the club into the National League North. Obviously can't replicate that at Trafford.
Not at the minute, no. It's really difficult at Trafford, unfortunately. Just the 1 win and 2 draws, and then 12 defeats all season. It's leaving them very much adrift at the bottom. 7 points behind Darlaston Town and 8 points behind the duo of Wythenshawe Town and Conkleton. It's leaving Tom Baker with an awful lot of work to do there, and he's going to have to get a wiggle on here. Obviously, the last 3 games have 3 straight losses, including the Kidsgrove defeat, which was the final one for Margison in charge of them. But they've got Shifnal on Saturday. That's followed up by...
Did they beat Bury Shifnal the other week?
I'm not sure. They might have done. But then they followed up with a visit to Stafford before welcoming Vauxhall Motors into Manchester on November the 15th. So it's not the easiest couple of games that they've got to play. Shifnal obviously in 3rd, Vauxhall in 9th, and Stafford in 11th. So Tom Baker's got his work cut out already, you'd think.
I think I was referring to Sporting Culture before.
Oh yes, they did win. They won by 2 goals to 0.
Then he managed in midweek to draw with Clitheroe.
Yes, they did 3-0. Yeah. Just talk about that.
Atherton Collieries on the other side, they slipped to a 3-0 defeat at Mossley. Never an easy place to go, particularly midweek.
No, it's not. I think Cleggy was riding such a high for a while, but it's back-to-back defeats for the Collies at the minute. So they lost 2-0 to Darlaston on Saturday, and then 3-0 at Mossley. But a bit of a quick turnaround. Halloween night, they've got Vauxhall Motors before Kidsgrove, and then Avro. So they're preparing for a fight on their hands on many fronts with those fixtures there.
Yeah. So moving on to the controversial corner. And we picked this one out and we listened with... Let's spend a little bit of time on it, or we might not. But poor discipline off the pitch appears to be on the rise. We had a similar issue last Saturday, which we'll go into at the end of the show, with supporters confronting our players. But we featured on last week's show it happening between Avro and Kidsgrove Athletic. Now, in the same division as us, the Liverpool Premier League, an amateur footballer suffered a fractured skull after being attacked during a game in Liverpool on Saturday.
Yeah, so Richard Agbasoga, who's a temporary NHS worker from Ghana, was playing for Ormskirk West End against Tsffs in the Championship division of the Liverpool Premier League, which I think is the second division of the Liverpool counties. The league below us when the incident took place. Agbasoga was punched and kicked in the head after a dozen men entered the pitch following a fracas which started when another Ormskirk West End player was headbutted in the 22nd minute. We've had no word from the club or any of its relatives as to how Agbasoga is doing at the minute in terms of his current health and well-being, but we of course wish him all the very, very best in his recovery.
Yes, indeed. But we've noticed it creeping into the game in the Premier League. The Wolves manager was restrained from confronting angry fans after a recent loss. And player Jose Sarr was involved in a confrontation with fans outside the stadium after another match. We've previously spoken about Roy Keane, Rob Savage and Ange Postecoglou on the show, their intentions or their interactions with supporters. Are we all just an angry bunch of people overstepping the mark? And what can we do about it?
I think it's really, really difficult at our level because there's very few individuals that are able to police this.
Well, we'll talk about that we'll talk about what happened at our level at the end of the show. But in terms of the overall picture, we seem to think that it's okay to get angry at football matches, and I even felt the same myself on Saturday. Although my frustrations were aimed at the poor form of quite a few of our players, but when you start shouting, you think to yourself, I need to draw that in. I need to draw that in, and
I think there's a line. There's definitely shouting in frustration and getting angry in frustration. However,
reacting to a huge crowd like the Wolves manager did, going up to a crowd of people. There's thousands of people there. It's not a good idea, is it?
It's not. No, but at the same time, I think his defence will be that he is trying his absolute best, and that he's losing sleep. He's trying different ideas. He's doing everything.
But can't he say that on the cameras, on social media?
Yeah, but
he's not going to get anywhere saying it to the supporters. And I don't think. I often think, is it worth sort of venting your spleen? I don't think it actually is. We tend to operate better when we've had time to reflect. And if we don't give ourselves that time, we can make a huge mistake. And I've done it in the past. I told you about my remonstrations at Nalgo with a 17-year-old assistant linesman.
yeah,
I didn't realise he was under 18 years of age, and I got a little bit sort of angry, said a few words that I regretted, and apologised to him afterwards.
I know. Yeah.
But I keep saying it. You've got to toe the line. You've got to remember as well that a lot of these supporters, particularly at the big games, are all sort of fueled by alcohol as well as anything else.
Yeah.
Adrenaline on the pitch and alcohol off the pitch.
I think there's passion, and I want to say that there's got to be something that's been said to Vitor Pereira that has triggered his need or his desire to want to confront angry fans. And I feel like it's probably the same with Jose Sarr. I mean, we talked about this from Robbie Savage, is that he's fine engaging in banterous back and forth with fans, but there is a line to be drawn when it becomes personal. You have to wonder whether anything personal has been said, and in fact fans have a bit more of that kind of freedom to be able to say that because they're not earmarked as individuals. We don't know them by name or by who they are as a professional, but we do know managers and we do know players who obviously have to tread a bit more of a careful and diplomatic line, which I think is probably a bit unfair, because if we allowed them to take the gloves off, they'd probably give it as good as they get.
Yeah. I don't like to see it personally.
No, I don't.
I think we witnessed scenes at the end of or during the Lancaster game against Macclesfield, didn't we, last season?
We did.
It seems to be reoccurring far too often.
Yeah. I say that when football isn't policed quite as well as what it should be, when we're certainly lacking in stewards and in people that are charged with keeping players and fans safe, these kind of things do happen. And that's where you start drawing a bit of a line at mixing fans.
Well, we don't like it happening at our level. No. We've just talked about Ormskirk West End and the the attack there.
Horrid
attack. But we hear more and more about attacks happening at kids' games as well, and I think it's about time people gave themselves a big head wobble, or we certainly come down on them like a ton of bricks when they do make. I just think one day somebody's going to get killed, and then something will be done about it, and then it'll be obviously too late.
Why does it have to? why does it have to take someone being killed for people to realise that they're getting angry over football? And I know we talk about football being a really important game and stuff like that, but is it really worth, being arrested, wrecking your career, criminal record?
Well, I felt like Saturday I could have completely wrecked my career. But, I could have got arrested based on the fact that I was just so angry. But listen, I've noticed it before, and I think I said it. I've been in crowds at Goodison in the Park End when supporters have been effing, jeffing, racist and misogynistic, and all you get is a BDI from a steward or a policeman. Nothing is ever done about it, and that's the worry. But listen, we'll speak about that more at the end of the show. But on a brighter note, Jamie Curitan said, if I can get 400, not saying I'll retire, but I'll be quite happy. So ex-professional footballer Jamie Curitan says he's aiming to reach 400 goals after becoming the first player to score in all 10 leagues in the English football pyramid, and this is all at the ripe old age of 50 years of age. It certainly makes Kevin Ellison look like a spring chicken.
Yeah, he does. Jamie Curitan, he managed to secure his first goal for Kings Park Rangers, who play in the... they play in the Eastern Counties League Division 1 North, which is a bit like the equivalent of the North West Counties Division 1. And in doing so, he's secured a goal. He's scored goal in all 10 leagues in the English football pyramid. He's a bit of a journeyman, having scored goals for Norwich City, Bristol Rovers, Reading, QPR, Colchester, Norwich again, Barnsley, Exeter, Cheltenham, Dagenham and Redbridge, Farnborough, Eastleigh, St Albans, Bishop Stortford, Hornchurch, Enfield, and now Kings Park Rangers. Ever the journeyman, he's still playing and has now scored nearly 400 goals. I'm not sure how close he is to it, but he's getting there. Just an amazing pub quiz question, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it most certainly is, but it's quite a refreshing story, really. I don't know whether is there more and more players playing longer, or are we just sort of glossed over the era's gone by?
No, there's more players playing longer, definitely. I think in the age now that we are of sports science and players taking care of themselves quite religiously. I mean, we talk about Kevin Ellison. We've only got to look at Kevin Ledbetter, who played for Skem, to realise that age is just a number. Ben Barnes is still doing an awful lot of bits for AFC Liverpool at the minute. Enough needs to be said about Cristiano Ronaldo, Ryan Giggs, Edwin van der Sar, players up and down the pyramid that have been able to achieve this. I think it's just down to sports science and physiotherapy and just taking care of the body. Jamie Curitan's scored 350 goals, 352 goals in 958 appearances. So another 48, maybe he can retire.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah.
But listen, like I say, refreshing story to sort of almost round off the controversial sort of issues. But listen, just one left there. The Boxing Day tradition of playing football, Premier League football on Boxing Day, might change this Boxing Day, as it appears that the Premier League might only be playing featuring one game. They put this down to it's been triggered by the pressures from the UEFA competition being expanded and the FA Cup switching exclusively to weekends. So it appears the sort of the top flight have had their hands forced a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I'll be honest, I don't enjoy the Boxing Day footballing tradition. No, I don't. I think, footballers are professionals, but come on, they've got families as well. And I know we still have the Boxing Day tradition as well. We played Mughal on Boxing Day last year, a game that I wasn't available for because I was spending Christmas with my family. And I don't like missing games. I don't want to miss them, but I'd sooner, unfortunately, spend time with my family at Christmas than watch Scam, unfortunately, because my family are 125 miles away from here. So
I can understand that. But, I mean, if I go back in time, one of my fondest memories, it was 1986, 87. It was away to Newcastle. Everton, yeah. I think we beat them 4-0.
Amazing.
I'm just trying to think of the little lad that scored a couple of goals. Who was it? I can't remember his name now. But yeah, I went down there with my dad and friends. We had a fabulous day there. We were escorted in for the last 10 miles by the police. Then we got to a pub. We had a few drinks, and then we were sort of escorted into the stadium. And back in the day when they didn't have seats, we were at the back of one of the goals. Great experience in many ways, but and a just fond memory because I was with my dad. But then I remember the trip back. Our coach had been bricked, and we were on the top, and they'd actually broken the top window, so we ended up we were frozen. Well, you can imagine Boxing Day. Yeah, freezing cold on the way back. 4-hour trip back from Newcastle on a coach, freezing cold, but happy because we'd won.
Well, yeah, I'm not surprised. It sounds really good. But to kind of go back to the initial point, if there's just one game to be played on Boxing Day, it's not a break from tradition. It's just kind of phasing it out or making it a little bit more sensible. And I don't mind that. I don't mind there being a bit of a... we talk about there being a need for a winter break for players, to try and cope with the demands that the footballing calendar has increased upon them over the last few years. I think this is probably the prime time to do it, really. I wouldn't mind there not being a full weekend of fixtures on a Boxing Day.
Well, I would, and like I say, I haven't said it, but I think the tradition has existed since 1888. I know things have to change. Unfortunately, I don't think it's. I think every time I hear news like this, I feel as though we're getting closer and closer to starting a Super League.
Do you?
Yeah. I just think when they make these changes, Well, when they played Manchester United in the World Club Cup and they didn't play in the FA Cup and things like that,
I mean, that's a bit of a different one, isn't it? Because
it's coming.
I don't think this is taking anything away from.
It's not a problem really, because when they do it, they'll just bring Scam United Football Club up into the League Two.
I'm skipping.
Yeah, so it'll be a place for us. Anyway, listen, we come to the end of the first part of the show. In the second part of the show, we will be speaking to the Bearscough manager, Dave Dempsey. In the meantime, we are having a commercial break, and we'll see you after that. A heartfelt shout out to all the businesses supporting Skelmersdale United Football Club, especially T&W Garners and Pedro de Seda Enterprises. Thank you to everyone who donates to the club, supports our race nights, raffles, lottery bonus ball scheme and the weekly draw in conjunction with NYCBA. A special thanks to those who organise such fundraising events, with a particular mention for the incredible Lee Davis and Rowena Hughes. To everyone who stands by us both on and off the pitch, we are truly grateful. If you wish to sponsor the show, please contact me at chairman.skemutdfc@gmail.com or alternatively call me on 077 66054 548. All proceeds will go to Skelmersdale United Football Club. Thank you for your unwavering support. Hello and welcome to the second part of the Speaking Frankly Football Show, and a warm welcome to Dave Dempsey, who's the manager of Bearscough. Good evening.
Good evening for the third time.
Take three.
Take three indeed.
Listen, it's nice to finally get you on the show, but we want to speak about the issue in hand. A couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, we mentioned on the show the fact that you'd left Prescott under strange circumstances. So when you left Bearscough to take up the Prescott job, it was wrongly believed that Prescott forced you into making a U-turn by bringing Steve Daly back following a change in chairmanship, which led to you being forced out. However, I'm led to believe that due to the politics behind the scenes, You felt your position to be untenable as a mass exodus of players was looming with the season fast approaching. Yet you felt you had no choice at all then.
Yeah, it was a bit of a mad time, to be honest. Like I got a phone call off Tony Zev, who was a chairman at the time, late on, I think it was a Monday evening, basically offering me the job over the phone. Accepted to go and have a conversation with him, and then when I met with Tony and Joe at Tony's house, we had like an extensive conversation around the state of the club and the players that were staying and the budget, or the revised budget as it was, and I don't really feel like the sort of the true reflection of where the club was at when I sat down and spoke to them was sort of shared with me. We discussed like certain players that were like definitely going to go with Dales when Steve left, lads that he'd brought to the club, but there was a core of players that said were likely to stay, and after speaking to them, found out very quickly that every single player was sort of on the way. So it made the job very difficult. The Tuesday, when I told Burscough we had a game against Morecambe, so I did the game out of like courtesy as such, and spoke to the club afterwards to tell them face to face that I was leaving and taking the opportunity. Took me staff in with me, and the physio and a couple of lads as well from Burscough, which was probably not great given the outcome. Having to go back to the club, we all sort of went back cap in hand a couple of days later.
It is pretty much standard though, isn't it, to take your
of course. You work with players and players stick by, and that was the case with the Prescott side of things as well. But yeah, I accepted the role. It was a good opportunity for me, a club that I played for 3 years, and had really good times there as a player. I still think very highly of the club. I always want them to do well. It's one of the first results I look for on a Saturday afternoon after my game, and I'm always made up when they win and they progress. But yeah, look, I had 3 days as the manager. I'd have liked it to be 3 years, but it wasn't to be.
Is that a record? Is it for the shortest management?
I think it could well be, certainly in that league. But no, it was after speaking with the lads on the Thursday. I'd like I said, my phone blew up when it was announced, and I had players ringing me, certain lads, that have not long left the club, saying that they were definitely going and they'll never play for the club again because of what they've discussed with Daly with the budget and whatnot. Dales was on the phone to me, telling me about like deals he'd made with players and players wanting to leave. Players like Nathan Kohler, who was going to Marine, who already had it sort of lined up. But yeah, I got there on the Thursday. We did a session on the Thursday with sort of like trialists. There was only Mitch who trained that night. I had a meeting with the players and one of the board members, and it was kind of evident that it was going to be a really, really difficult job. So got that out of the way. Woke up on the Friday to a message on social media saying that the chairman had resigned, board members had resigned, I had no players, and I was going to Mauritius for 10 days as well in the 3 weeks building up to the season. So given the time of the pre-season, in my resignation letter when I emailed the club, I made it quite evident that for me the only way for them to sort of progress was to bring back the manager. Now I'm not saying for 1 minute that they've listened to me and they may have done that anyway.
Because what is odd is really that when a manager leaves, unless he's got a job lined up, the players don't actually go with him, do they?
Yeah, I think it was a circumstance of the budget. I think was the big player in it. Obviously, Dales had agreed a budget for X amount, at the closing. Every manager, when your season finishes, the first thing you do with the chairman is plan for next year. The game's gone. You've got, it's the most important time as a manager. You close season. That's where you recruit and you do all your work. So it's important from the offset that you know what you're working with, so that you're not bringing players in on more than you can afford and giving false promises to players. And I think that's where Dale sort of felt a little bit let down. It obviously spoke to the club and agreed a budget for the season, and from my understanding, rightly or wrongly, that was pulled, and then there was a decision for Dales to make, shall we say, whether he stayed on and used the budget, but then he'd agreed money with players and he brought players in from other clubs, and obviously the lads had been promised certain contracts and certain amounts, and obviously as a manager it's never nice to have to go back on your word with lads and take money from them that you've agreed. So look, Dale's made the decision to go. I made the decision to step in his place and work with the lower budget as such. But you can have all.
And you can understand why you've gone to the club. Because, like you say, you played there before.
Yeah.
Prescott's become pretty massive over the last few years.
Yeah, it's a fantastic club. It really is. It's a great club. I live 3/4 of a mile away from the ground as well. Yeah. So I'm in Rainhill. Prescott's just down the road. My commute is I could walk. And yeah, as a player as well, you come you come accustomed to clubs as well, and you enjoy your time there, and you always want them to do well. And look, I played for many clubs, but Prescott's one of the clubs that sort of I had a really good time there as a player and played some of my best football.
But the timing wasn't good, was it really?
For me, no. Look, if it had been right at the end of the season and I'd have had all of close season to get a group of players together, I'd have been able to do it, like 100%.
What was there, a week to go to the season?
I think there was 3 weeks to go to the season.
3 weeks for Prescott. There was about a week for Burscough, was there?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for Burscough it was like I think Morecambe was our second to last friendly. I think we had Everton Allow on the Saturday, and then we started the season, so that there was 2 weeks. But look, if the circumstances were different and the players would have stayed, then it's an opportunity I definitely would have stayed and took and got my teeth stuck into. But on my resignation letter to them in my email, I openly said, like, I'm pretty straight. Like, I'm an honest lad. I don't do things backhandedly. I'll always speak to players and face to face and whatnot. But that circumstance, I just couldn't leave myself in a vulnerable position. I'd had a job at Widnes. I'd done very well at Clitheroe. And I was on the back end of, a chairman that struggled to run a football club at the end of the day, who's not long after me left. And my next job at that level was, for me, whether I progress with Burscough or opportunities in years to come down the line, like whatever come along, my next job at that level has to be the right job. And I just couldn't put myself in a position where I was set up to fail, because other than Steve going back in at the time, like I've said, no manager, unless he had a herd of 16 players ready to go at that level at step 3, could have made it work. And don't forget as well, it was their first season in that level. Yeah. So it was kind of an unknown.
They just got promoted.
They just got promoted. The club was bouncing. It was it was a horrible period for the club, because it was just a crazy week, and I sort of fell into the week and I was part of it. But it's all gone now. Like I said, I genuinely always want Prescott to go and do well. And I felt like I made the right decision for me and for the club. Like, the club have obviously gone on to have a successful season the year after. So it was the right thing for both parties.
Going back to Burscough, how difficult was that?
Do you know, it could have been a lot more difficult, to be honest. I think that spoke to a couple of managers, and when I spoke to Jay was just made up that I'd made the decision to go back. The club have always, the Burscough have, for years and years now, they've gone through managers like no one else's business. I think they've had many managers, haven't they? It's there for everyone to see. And stability was massive for them. So if it had been a bit longer, a week or two, and things had settled and they'd brought in other players and things, it may have been a bit more difficult. But given it was only 48 hours, I left on the Tuesday after the Morecambe game. I wasn't at training on the Thursday, and I was back in the dugout for the Saturday. So we'd had one session, and Kirky had stepped up as interim. All the lads had stayed. It was really settled. I got a big fine off the players for leaving and coming back in. But look, we made fun of it, and it is what it is.
I guess it doesn't feel that difficult, really, because they're your players. You're coming back in.
It was my dressing room, and I think the hardest thing for me was I took my assistant manager, I took my goalkeeper coach, the physio come with me. I took one or two of players that were doing well at the time I thought could step up. So it wasn't just me going back in, it was, you know, a little collective of us going back into Burscough. But like I said, it's football, and give Jay his credit, he's a football man. He understands it, you know, he understands it was an opportunity leagues above for me to go and progress and you know, try and do well and make a bit of a name for myself. So going back into Burscough, it was quite seamless, to be honest.
Well, it's not like you've switched to Scam United Football Club and then decided to come back and see. No. You would have come
did a lot the door if that had happened.
Listen, you've gone on record several times before saying that you're a really ambitious manager, and you wanted to manage at the highest level. Do you feel as though you've got the opportunity to do that now with Burscough?
Yeah, 100%. I think
so. Lots changed since you came back, really.
Yeah, like we've pulled a budget together now where we can kind of be competitive. The club's changed, the infrastructure's changed, the club's set up, in all fairness, to do well. We've got a really good group of players, got some good experience in there, and I feel like if we were to get in the playoffs or an overachieve and go up this season, then, you know, it wouldn't be an overall. We'd only need, you know, a handful of new lads to come in to be able to compete in the league above. But given the football club that I took over 2.5 seasons ago, I think we were 1 point off yourselves, off Skem, weren't we? I think you were just below us, and it was sort of like we were fighting tooth and nail, weren't we, to be the team to go down. And luckily for us, we managed to do well, and I think we finished like 14-15 points off the drop that season. So that first half of season give us sort of a foundation then to build on. And look, I feel like we've done all right. We've done a decent job at it, and we just need to continue to do well.
Well, we'll come to the current form in a little bit, but you're only 37 years of age, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you retired from football around about 27, allegedly to play more golf.
Yeah. So so my firstborn, Bella, was born 10 weeks prem. And I was at Prescott at the time, and she was in neonatal. So me and my missus were like to-ing and fro-ing from the hospital and things. And I remember, I think we had, I want to say, Darlington and Scarborough in the same week on a Tuesday and a Saturday. And I had training on a Thursday, and my little girl was in an incubator. And I never seen her for like 3 days. And when my second born was born, my missus basically said, like, this time, because we've got the 2 kids, you need to sort of, you know, prioritise, and it's quite right, like 100% right. So I made the decision at, like, I think it was 27, to stop playing. But then golf replaced football. I think as a sporting lad, you're always looking for that thing on a weekend, aren't you, to take place. It's just part of you.
Are you still playing it now?
Play bits, yeah. Nowhere near as much as I used to.
You don't drag any of your teammates?
Joking, aren't you?
No. You certainly don't have the time, no. But listen, for those that are not familiar with you, let us know a little bit more about your football career and how it started and where it ended.
So I've always kicked a ball. My dad has, I think he still has it in his loft, to be honest. They're rolled up.
He's the man that keeps you straight and level, isn't he?
My dad is, he's boss, my dad. He had a rolled up newspaper full of sellotape, and he used to roll it to me in the living room floor, and I just used to kick it at him as like a 1-2-year-old. So it started really young. As a junior, I was at like Wigan Athletic and other clubs, and always played in academies. I went to Burscough, so I got offered a scholarship in America, and I got offered a contract at Chester City. And I went to Myerscough College because education, and the Derek Egan, who was at the Lancashire FA, he pulled me dad and he said, like, if he comes to Myerscough, he's going to play for England colleges. So that was my dad. My dad was like, right, you're going and representing your country. So I ended up going down the education route, played a lot of non-league football, started at Burscough in the youth team, funnily enough, with Stam, who was my manager.
Stam was your manager?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Stam was a reserve team manager and first team coach, so I played for Stam. And I was good as a young lad, and then at 17, Stammer's got the Clitheroe job, so it's really like sort of inbred, this story. Stam went to Clitheroe and he took me with him as a kid, and I think I did 4 years at Clitheroe from 17 to 21,
How old is Stammers?
3 years. Stam's like 50 odd.
Is he?
Yeah.
Didn't realise he was that old.
He's an old fart. He just comes across like a young fella. No, he is. Yeah, he's got a bit of
a young, angry.
Yeah. So I played for Clitheroe and then did a little bit of time at Runcorn Linnets. Went into Wales to Connors Quay, and then sort of finished my career at Prescott Cables. So yeah, I did 3 years at Cables right at the end of my time. I played a lot of non-league. Football's just a massive part of my life. Like supporting.
Did you get back into football at any stage when you made the transition to coach, manager?
In terms of playing, like player manager.
Did you play again after you retired?
No.
So
I did like. I stopped playing non-league at 26, 27. And then I had like the odd game here and there, like for Haydock and just a few of my mates who'd play on a Saturday, just help them out for a couple of games and stuff. But nothing serious. And then the transition to management came with Ashton Town. So my mate's dad is Tsffs, who's the secretary. So Chris is one of my best mates. Went to school with him and. Woody and Ocky both rang me up and they were like, Ashton are looking for a manager. Tsffs, like my dad's asked, would you be interested? So I went in and spoke to Mark and Steph and just ended up taking the job. I was actually joint manager because I was only younger. I was only like 28 when I started management.
With who?
Neil Rimmer.
From
Wigan Athletic, yeah. But I think Neil didn't understand non-league, I think, because he'd obviously come from a pro background and he'd never really worked in it. It was from Ashton. I thought it was just like you didn't really get training and the amount of time you put into it. Like I was helping. I remember I was helping build a pre-season schedule, and he didn't know any clubs. He was like, "We'll only have 3 friendlies." I was like, "No, Neil, you need 6 or 7 friendlies, like minimum at non-league. You're not with these lads every day." So that he basically he'd seen how I worked, and he was comfortable that I'd be able to do it. Obviously, it was my first job when I was young, and he just stepped away straight away and just said, "I'll let you crack on." So I ended up falling into the management at a young age, like on my own. Played a little bit that first season because we were in the Cheshire League, so got my boots back out and helped on the pitch. And yeah, it was good. It set me up. It was a good foundation, to be fair. I learned a lot in that first year.
Did you know that you wanted to be a manager after you'd finished playing?
So I knew that I had there was part of me that missed the football, massively missed the football when I stepped out of it. And you know, I'd go and watch Everton and go and play on a park with the lads. I was always playing 5-a-sides and things. I never stepped out of football and stopped it. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people step out of football and just completely leave it and just draw a line and that's it, done. As a young lad, I always coached. So I was working in schools as a coach. I worked at Liverpool for a very short amount of time, like coaching the academy there as like an unpaid job. It was always something that I wanted to do, and I've got a coaching background. So I was always sort of geared up for the coaching side of things, but I never really thought about management. It sort of just got through on my lap. But I made up I have because I love it, to be fair. I go through phases where it's like it's a bit of a burden and it's tiring, you give all your time to it, and I don't think people appreciate how much time you give to it and away from your family and phone call. You're not even it's I've got miles better at it this season, to be honest. I promised like myself, not even Emma, like my wife, she's cool with me football, but I promised myself that I'm not gonna, like last year, 2 years ago, I'd be having tea out and I'd be outside a pub on my phone for an hour at a time and the tea was going cold, or like I'm at home and the kids are asking me to do stuff and I'm going, "No, I can't."
How do you avoid doing that as a manager now?
I've just had to draw a line under it and just go, look, I just give myself times in the day where I just don't do it as much.
So you were a difficult manager to get in touch with
No, I'm not, but a lot of the phone calls was me ringing people when I was first starting out. Like, I just ring a manager and say, "Oh, how'd you get on the weekend?" Because it was just, you're just consumed in it. Whereas now I don't. And it's even things like social media. Like when I first started, Mark Hayes said to me when I took the job, he was like, "Get on Twitter and publicise the games and grow a bit of a, try and grow the interest in Ashton Town."
And he's a master at that.
Yeah, but that was what Mark's all about, isn't it? That sort of stuff. So I was like, and that sort of followed on from my first job to Ashton. I look back now and I cringe, like the stuff I was putting on Twitter and Facebook, like full match reports and this play's done great, and no one's asked, are they? Let's be honest, like, you know, you're managing in the Cheshire League, no one's bothered about how you got on, like, as a manager and players.
I don't know, I think they are. More so now it is.
Now
it is, but 7 or 8 years ago, like, I'd put it on and like my auntie would be like in my comment. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'd put
please
stuff
don't
on there,
answer me comments.
I'd put stuff on there and like my auntie would be going, oh, my auntie Janet would be going, oh, well done David, great result, and I was like, oh, what are you doing? But yeah, it's bonkers. But
street cred goes right down.
Exactly. And then you have like the odd comment, and at the time, like, I feel like the Cheshire League and that sort of level of football never really got the traction it does now either, by the way. So I think it's massively changed. It's massively changed, and there's a lot of clubs now jumping on the social media side of things to promote the club, quite rightly. But it fell into, like, I went to Widnes now. I was still in the habit.
So did you go to Widnes from Ashton? So
yeah, I was at Ashton Town, and then Brad Cook got the Coles job, and it was during COVID. That's another story. So Brad Cook got the Coles job. I went into Coles, and then Jamie Weston, the chairman of Prescott at the time, was casing me to go in as a manager. He was like, it's not working, we need a manager. So I told Brad, I said, look, Prescott are basically throwing this job on my lap. Like, they're wanting me to go in, I'm interested. So we had an interview with Matt Roberts and Jamie Weston at Prescott. And they decided to give it to Craig Davis because I was too close to the players at the time, so I never actually got the job. So I left Atherton Coles under the pretense that the job was mine, and yeah, that was a crazy time. So from that, then I ended up going in at Widnes, did a season, did like Christmas to Christmas at Widnes, and then ended up going up to Clitheroe, which was sort of my last longer job.
Sort of big step up. Clitheroe at that stage?
Yeah, samely. Clitheroe were 9th in the league when we took over. Clitheroe were 9th in the league, and I went in with Billy Priestley. Carl Garner rang me and he said, like, can you come and give us a hand? Billy, you know, Billy's still on the pitch, and so I went in to work with Bill, and yeah, Billy sort of handed me the reins after about 6 weeks. He just wanted to play. He'd done a good job. We had an unbelievable group of players there. Like, the quality we had was a joke. Got in the playoffs for the first time, did really, really well, and then we had Workington away on a Tuesday night in the playoff semi-final.
Not the best of places.
No, it was a long way. Signed Mark Pugh, Lee Pugh's brother from Bournemouth, who obviously packed in playing. Brought Pughy in, and he felt his hamstring go after like 5 minutes in the game, and you're making changes, and the game just got away from us that night. But yeah, the Clitheroe saga, as I always call it, like with the chairman there that took over, is I say Prescott was a bad experience for me, but looking at what happened at Clitheroe was a joke.
But just to set the record straight, you've gone to Clitheroe, you've got them into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Is it the following season when you've left? Because you were in the playoff positions, weren't you? I think you were third in the league, and
so I went into Clitheroe. Went into Clitheroe and did the second half of the season as such. Got them into the playoffs. We had a really, really good time there. I think we only lost three or four games from November to the end of the season. We were flying. Went into the playoffs in good form. And Stuart, the old chairman, was boss. Like, he was is it Nelson now, Stu? Puts loads into the club, like out of his own pocket, and like the infrastructure, like Paul Gilchrist-esque, he just puts everything, his heart and soul, into the infrastructure, and he made Clitheroe sort of the club it is now. But Stu, unfortunately, his parent wasn't well. His mum was struggling, like really, really not well, so he stepped back. And then the new chairman came in, Frosty came in, and said to me, close season, probably similar, to be honest, with how Dales felt around the Prescott stuff. Said to me, you don't have a budget. He was like, you don't have a budget, just don't be worrying about money, just get us the players to go and compete. So yeah, brought in some good lads, and then we played, I think it was City Liverpool we played at home, and he come on the pitch and he was like, we can't work with this budget, it's too high. It's like £400 more than the season before, and I was like, but you've sanctioned all the signings we've made, I've done everything the right way, I've done nothing like to, you know, you've not said you've got X amount, I've worked within my means. And so then he was like, oh no, you need to pull £500 a week back in the season. This is like 3 games into the season.
Turn your eyes behind your back.
Yeah. So I had a player, I won't name names, I had a forward there on very, very good money, contracted. And I was like, to get £500 back, we move him on. Like, he was a bit erratic in his sessions and not really turning up and not massively performing. He's gone on and gone back to Clitheroe about 4 times since. So yeah, I put a plan together to sort of get rid of one player, and then got told no. So then, yeah, I ended up managing the budget, to be honest, and I think we'd gone out of we had Hyde at home in the FA Cup and got beat 2-1, I think. It was a close game. And then we went away. What killed me was we went away to Brighouse in the FA Trophy and got beat on penalties. And that sort of, I thought that was the nail in the coffin. And then Frosty come on to me at the end of the game on the pitch and he was like, I don't feel your heart's in it. And Carl was stood next to me, and
because he threw you right under the bus, didn't he? At the end?
Like, honestly, and I don't mind coming on here and telling the truth and being open about it. I can't stand him. Like, he just isn't. He's the least footballing person I've ever met in my life, managing a club like that.
You chose your words carefully.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's an agenda from chairman like that to make those kind of moves on a manager?
Do you know what? I just don't think Frosty put himself in a position at Clitheroe where he come in the big I am, this big multi-millionaire, and he was coming in like bit brash with me at the start, going, we'll give you what you want, we'll be better, we'll win the league, we'll do this and we'll do that. But then when it actually come to it, he didn't put his hand in his pocket, and he wanted the club to be self-sustainable, which, by the way,
is the right way to do it.
Is the right way to do it. Is the right way to do it, 100%. But what you don't do is you don't tell the manager one thing and then
change it
3 weeks into the season go, well, actually I can't do that because we can't afford it. But we played Chasetown away and we were 3-0 down at half time. We drew the game, and to be honest, we should have won. Like, we battered them in the second half, and that was sort of the turning point. Like, it had settled down the budget. I was £14 over budget that day. So I'd gone from like £4,500.
Yeah, you can have it out, mate.
I was gone from £4,500 budget to £4,014.
Yeah.
And his words to me were that you've mismanaged the budget. That was why he sacked me. We were 3rd in the league.
Because he went quite vocal on it, didn't he?
He went vocal because I sent an email to the club basically saying like what I'd done in pre-season and what he'd said to me. So I made it quite evident to all the board of directors, everybody within the club, I was honest. And I thought, if you're gonna shaft me like that, people need to know what you've said to me and what you've done. So I sent an email to the club and I just said, like, again, professionally, thanks for your time, gutted to be relieved of my duties, just want to point a few things out. And yeah, he was just hard work.
You can't win whatever way you go in that situation, can you? Because if you're vocal, people don't believe you anyway. Some will believe you, others won't.
There's a story,
and the same for the chairman, and it just gathers.
I just said to them, I just said to the club, like when I left, I said, look, this is what's happened. We had no training venue in the summer. So a club like Clitheroe, with all the money they've got, they had no training venue. We was having to use a field that the juniors play on that we weren't meant to be using. We were going under the radar because of a council grant, so it was all like hush hush. We had no.
It's no longer hush hush.
No, it's no longer hush hush. No, we had no training kit. I was like bringing suppliers up myself and organising all the kit and like. Yeah, I did so much. I was going up. We drove up to Clitheroe during the summer to do a fun day for the juniors, going giving out awards and penalty shootout and things, completely off my own back. And it's quite interestingly since the chairman who is now there, he rang me up when he got the job and apologised to me. since getting the chairmanship and saying with what happened with DC, with Danny Caldecott, and with what's happened with Jimmy Bell, I now see that what you put on the email, he was spot on. And he was like, I can only apologise how you've been treated. So that was quite nice.
But still a big kick in the bollocks.
Yeah, like we could have gone on that year to do really well. Like you speak to some of the lads who are still there and who've left now. Like I'm in contact with a few of them, and we always say like we'd have probably won the league that year.
How many games were left to go when you got the sack?
I'd played 10.
You played 10?
Yeah, played 10 games. We were third in the league, and I think we were third in the league. Someone will research this if they listen to the show and prove me wrong, but I'm sure I was third in the league. I think we were something like 3 points off second with a game in hand, but Kidsgrove had won 10 in 10, who finished like 17th that season. They just had a mad start to the season, and the gap from like first to second, third and fourth was really stretched. But there was no one in that league that year that were better than us. Like there really wasn't, and it was difficult because the players knew what we were going through as managers as well, because obviously it's money, so the players get a vibe and a feeling, and they're a little bit unsure, and it just spread like negativity. But the lads, to be fair, did the best they could given the circumstances. And yeah, the biggest one was Reece Webb Foster. Like Frosty came on the pitch before the Avro game and tore a strip off me because Reece Webb Foster was in the squad. And he wasn't at training on Thursday because he didn't like Reece. He wanted Reece gone because Reece was on good money. And he was basically telling me who I couldn't get rid of. So, yeah, it was...
too much interference.
Yeah, massively.
Does that give you trust issues now when going into looking at a new manager job?
No. I've worked with some, good chairmen in my time. Like, Rossi at Widnes was sound. He did everything he could to give us an opportunity to compete. Mark Hayes was good at Ashton Town. Paul Gilchrist and now Jay. Like Jay's superb. The first chairman at Clitheroe was great. He just didn't have a clue how to run a football club, and it was all about him. But yeah, I think he lasted less time than I did at Prescott, to be honest. I think he was sort of in and out the door. And I think when time got difficult for him, he's moved on because it didn't look great for him. It was all about himself. So. Yeah.
Well, you're at Burscough now, and you celebrated your 100th game in charge last week. Congrats! I know it's early days in the season, but there's clear and obvious evidence that you're building something really decent there, and off the back of the run that you had towards the tail end of last season as well. You've had a couple of defeats, West Eastbury and Chorlton and Chadderton. There's no shame in that, but is it sort of showing that you guys at Burscough can and are looking towards those higher reaches of non-league? You're looking at the Northern Prem?
Yeah, I think we'll... in terms of promotion, I think it's... Would this season be a season too quickly? I don't know. We're obviously going to try and get there. 100%. We'll do everything we can to get in the playoffs and compete and go up. The club's come on so much, and as a group of players that we've got, we're capable of beating anyone in the league. So, form shows you that we've won. I think we've won 9 games this season and lost 6, 5 of which are to Paddy and Rami West. Yeah, top teams away from home. They've all got to come to our place and have a go at us there. So we're in a really good position. I'm a manager though that doesn't set unrealistic targets, and I always say to Jay, like, just enjoy the ride that we're on at the minute. Don't get... Jay's the worst for it. Jay's like, I want you to win the Vars, I want you to win the
We got that impression that we did.
And I'm laughing along with him, going, yeah, like, we'll give it a go, but just come down a peg or two. Look, we're capable of doing all of those things, in all fairness. Like, you look at the Vars, and Glossop have been there twice, Rylands have been there and won it, and crazy things have happened for little
Kirkham and Wesham as well before they become AFC fans.
Obviously you show a bit of interest in it, don't you, when you're in the second round?
Yeah, you do.
But we've got a really difficult test next. We've got Ashton Town at home, which is obviously a previous club of mine, so that won't be an easy game.
Have you played them this season so far?
Yeah, we played them in the Senior Cup, but it wasn't really Burscough v Ashton. It was two diluted teams. We probably played a couple more of the first team than I'd have liked in that game, because the under-18s are in you've got the Senior Cup and then you've got the one underneath it, haven't you? Can't think what he calls it, like the junior cup or something like that. I'm not too sure, but if you play in the Senior Cup, you can't play in that cup. So for us to play all the 18s in that one, they then cup tied for their cup. So it was a little bit like, it was a difficult one. So I rested quite a lot of lads in that game, but it was a diluted team. So
well, you've got a challenging game on Saturday with to Barnoldswick. They're on a bit of a run, 4 wins on the bounce. How are you preparing for that game?
Just as we always do, to be honest. They'll be looking at that on the back of 4 wins. They've got a new manager in. I've been there myself as a gaffer. When you go into a club and you're new into the job and you're in a winning form, we just need to go and prep how we always do. We're good enough, like I said, we're good enough to beat any team in the league. I'm not worried about anyone. We just need to play our way. But it'll be a tough test. It's a difficult surface. It's not a nice place to drive to, is it? Barnoldswick is in the middle of nowhere.
It seemed to take forever. I felt as though I was driving through the set of Brassic or
I think it's actually filmed around them ways, isn't it?
It must be, but I think it's Bacup, isn't it? Around Bacup. A little bit like Heartbeat as well, Heartbeat Land. But lovely when you get there.
Oh, it's stunning.
I mean, if it's a nice day, the views are fantastic. They've got a cricket pitch, a rugby pitch.
Yeah, it's a nice ground.
Yeah,
it's a nice ground. It's just it's always a difficult place to go, just because of the surface just makes it a game, doesn't it? It's one of those places.
Have you been back there since that the neighbour has put his standout?
We played there last season, and it wasn't long since he'd done it, and he was sat in his little thing, and I made a point.
You know about this, AJ? Don't
you?
Of
course, we've covered it on the show.
Yeah, it was
brilliant.
It's funny. So he might be there in his hut,
in his little Premier box.
Yeah, no, it's a game. Look, it's a game we're looking forward to, because we need to get back on winning ways. We've had 2 defeats on the bounce now.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing them any injustice. But the likes of Bacups and Barnoldswicks and teams like that are the mid-table teams in the league. If we want to do well this season, they're the teams we've got to go.
There's an expectation there, isn't there? So. With that being said, what do you make of the standard of football in this level compared to the Northern Prem, where you've already managed?
I think the better teams in the league are capable of competing in the Northern Prem, but the lower teams in the league are miles off. I think there's a big difference.
So how many teams would you say in that top sort of half have got realistic ambitions?
At the minute in our league, for teams, in my opinion, for teams to go up without signing any players and do well, not be relegation fodder, getting beat week in, week out, I think Padiham are good enough. I think Rami are good enough. I think the other teams would have to go and recruit a handful of players.
Yeah.
Well, ourselves
even the likes
included.
Of West did,
even the likes of West. Yeah, I think defensively you can get at West. Going forward, West are a very, very good team, and I think that's why they win a lot of games at our level. But defensively, I think that you'd need. I think teams in the Northern Premier expose them. They're a good side. I'm not for 1 minute saying that they're a poor side, but even Chadderton, Chaddy are frightening going forward, but defensively you can exploit them. So, I'd say there's only a couple. But you look at Rami, for instance, and they're littered with players that have been higher, that could still compete and are of an age that.
Do you feel as though you have to recruit from higher up?
No, not necessarily. I think you need a sprinkling of experience and lads that have been there. Which, in all fairness, we've got. We've got lads like, Kirky and Sheeny, Tom Peterson, lads that have played Hamo, lads that have played higher. Sam Turner's played up there as well, Riggers. We've got quite a lot, Ethan Devine. We've got experienced lads at that level, but you need a balance. You need like a young, really fit, strong, sizey group that can go and bully teams. Because I think in our league, teams that aren't good enough try and play a lot of football. And I think that kills them. I think the better teams, when you go the league above, they play to the strengths, and if the strength is back to front, hitting a big target man and playing off him, they do that, but they do it well. And I think you look at Rami and you look at Paddy and you look at them and go, yeah, they're set up to, to go and progress. If we were to get there this season, we'd have the main core of the group would probably stay as it is. But we'd need to go and recruit. But yeah, answering your question, the levels, the difference in levels for me is quite a lot, and I don't think people give the Northern Prem the credit it's for. I think when you get swallowed up in the North West Counties, you go, it's a good group, it's a great level of football, and they've got some really good players. But I always say your players are at the level because that's the level. You only get, a few players that are playing sort of below the level. I think it's quite a big gap. Yeah,
looking at Bury and obviously Lower Breck, then managed to make the step up extremely well. I mean, particularly Lower Breck. What do you make of them? And I remember watching them at the community stadium last season when you played them, and I think they beat you.
It was 3-0, weren't it?
Yeah, it was a fabulous game though, both sort of end to end as well. But what do you make of Lower Breck, and how far can they go with that team, or is it one of those cases that team, once it gets older, they're going to disband and they're going to have to start all over again?
I think what Breck have the home ground. It's such a difficult place to go when you're used to playing in like a stadium with fans all four sides of the ground, and on like the 4G they've got battered.
It's we battered. Know it is.
We've been there.
It's been peppered, hasn't it, over the years?
We don't know how we've passed the FIFA bounce test. We haven't got a clue.
No, me neither. But Breck have also got some unbelievable talent in the group as well, and they're a real. If you was to pick Breck's team for Saturday, you'd probably be able to name it because they have the same lads and the same teams every week in, week out. But then they have an injury or two, and they always seem to bring in another player who's just as strong. They're just, and it's not a bad thing, they're just a horrible scouse together team, aren't they? That's what Breck are, and that's what Breck have always been. But the demographic of where they play, that's what they sort of pride themselves on, and it's proving good for them. They've done an unbelievable job there, given what they've got. I actually think they'll go on and sustain it. Personally, I don't see them dropping off. So I definitely think playoffs for them.
The stadium's going to be their issue, isn't it?
Going up.
Yeah, going up.
Yeah, it's
not getting any better, is it?
No, it's jaded, isn't it? And it's a sports centre at the end of the day. So but I don't think Breck would not look for something else if they were to go up. I think they probably, they could ground share, or if they couldn't get the ground
they must have their eye on something.
Yeah, I don't think they'd let it stand in the way. But no, I hope Breck go on and do well. They've done it the hard way, haven't they?
Yeah, most definitely. How much do you think the game and players have changed over the years?
Great question. So I always go back to when I played. And it wasn't, 10 years ago? 11 years ago, Christ, yeah. 11 years ago when I played, so it's quite a while back. I think the current player, how do I word this politically? I think you had to be a very good footballer to play at a decent level years back, technically. I think you had to be able to get on the ball, and fitness was a big part of it. But I think now the game's changed, and the Premier League's changed as well, like football in general. Like, you watch a game from 2000s, Thierry Henry and Arsenal United, it was like aggressive players, ball in behind, runners. Now you have looked at a great goal if every player touches the ball and you get a tapping from 6 yards out.
It's a chess game, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's breeded into sort of non-league. Like, as a manager, you look at football now and you try and replicate it. Like, how many teams in the North West Counties play out from the back? See it week in, week out. And how many teams in the North West Counties play out from the back, give the ball away in their own half and concede?
Yeah, well, we did it quite often last
season. It happens an awful lot. Yeah, well, yeah, you would have done with Pascal there. He'll have tried to play football, but like, for me, football's just changed massively. Like, the lads are all, the diets, the gym routines. It's more around like the fitness side of things and athleticism now, rather than like, You know, you don't get.
Have you had to change? Have you had to change your philosophy on football?
Yeah, I think players now are a lot. What's the word? Not weaker as such, but yeah, like I've had like when Stan was at Clitheroe with us, he's come in and volleyed a radiator, you know, threw balls at you, and I've had managers like offer me out in the dressing room, and even players coming in like walling each other up, and you know, that was what football was. Even at the top level, that's what it was. Now it's not. It's all like you've got to watch how you approach things, and look. I'll lose my head with players at the, you know, not all the time, very, 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 you know, sporadically, but if it needs to be said, you say it, whereas you'll do it and then you go away thinking, I shouldn't have said that to that player, I need to treat that player differently.
Have you to that stage where you're actually in the changing rooms, you've started on your rant and you're thinking to yourself, I need to claw this back a little bit, I need to tone things down? Yeah,
so on last night I won't say the words I used, but we were playing against 10 men for 50 minutes of the game, and we never even had a shot on target. Chatterton just low blocked, we couldn't get round them, and I went in and I was like, boys, it's poor, shall I say. And I was just saying, poor, like, I said, we were meant to be going out for a meal, we were meant to be having Thursday off because the schedule's been ridiculous, and I was like, no, we're gonna train. And I was just about to leave the dressing room and shut the door, and as I opened the door, I was like, I've done this in the past where I've shut the door and I've left, and then the lads have had a chat between themselves and I've not heard it. So I've like got my boots, got my coat, said you're all rubbish and I hate you all and don't want to look at you as you're knocking me sick. No, joking. And as I've gone to leave, I've closed the door and stayed in the dressing room, and I said, boys, I said, like, you know,
we're still going for that meal.
Yeah, no, we're not actually training. I've cleared the meal, but yeah, you know what the hardest thing as a manager is, because you're so emotional. You'll start saying things in the dressing room, and what you're thinking straight after a defeat, you know, before you've watched it and analysed it, it's just your initial sort of emotional response. You don't really think about the game as such. You just see the result and you see a mistake and you see a lad misplace a pass, and that's all you can think about, and that's cost us. And then you'll get up on a Sunday and you'll watch your VO back and you'll go, actually, it wasn't that bad. But,
yeah, we've had that on a few occasions, haven't we, where managers have thought a previous game was better than the latest one, and the latest one was better. I think we had that. We played relatively well against a really good Sefton Athletic, didn't we? And then the week after against Nalgo.
We had a stinker.
Did we have the stinker though? Did we play better? No, we played better against Nalgo. And I think that was the thing. We weren't as critical about the game against Sefton because we just felt they were an all-round better team.
Yeah.
What's that level like? What are the teams like at that level? Are they some good teams?
Well, we often talk about this in the third part, and we've got to be careful because I think we mentioned off air that we've sent an email into the league. I think if you're a master of the dark arts. Yeah. Then you can deceive really, really well. Whereas we can't particularly do that because we're a lot younger and a lot less experienced. But I'd say when there are teams there that can play relatively well, you know, there's no doubt about it. There's good footballing teams. Yeah. I think the difference between that level and your level is, and certainly Northwest Counties Division 1 North or South, is it's their fitness. We're a fit team. Technically, we're probably a better team. Yeah. But they're old heads. Yeah. They know how to use.
It's probably a different type of football as well, isn't it? They've probably been playing that football at that level. It's probably difficult.
And it becomes more acceptable. And we're going to talk about this at the end of our show. Is that it seems to be more acceptable now. I think if you've watched it over and over again, year in, year out, it becomes more acceptable, and you forget the essence of what decent football is all about. And then when you compare it to the Northwest Counties, we always thought we were hard done to. You know, the refereeing is probably much similar to what it is because they're the same referees. Liverpool County, it's the training ground basically for Northwest Counties officials. But in terms of professionalism in the Northwest Counties, I think we take it for granted. I think it's a lot better.
Yeah.
than we ever imagined it would be.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, it's you can tell that there's that gap in professionalism between semi-pro and amateur. From a club point of view, yeah, we try and kind of, behave ourselves in a way that we'd expect from the Northwest Counties, and we're sort of looking across the other dugout and
not getting it back.
We're not getting it back. No.
And we got to be careful what we say.
We do have to be careful what we say
because we did it before, and we had a rant off who? What club was it we played?
Joey Oars,
yeah.
Makes for a better show if you're honest, though, Frank.
That's the other thing as well. You can't be honest now without repercussions.
Someone gets upset. Just going back to you as a manager, then, what's your approach to the game, Dave, and how do you get your players to buy into it?
My approach has probably changed over the years. So when I first started management, I was very overcomplicated things, shall we say. And my first job, like I've said, at Ashton Town, I got offered the job in the counties, and then they got relegated. Probably similar to yourselves, they got told they were staying up. They got relegated mathematically, so they didn't have a leg to stand on, so to speak. They got relegated, but then they were told that they were staying in the counties, and then they didn't. And I got told a week into my job that you're actually managing now in the Cheshire League.
Well, originally it was going to be
the Liverpool League, and it was me. I said, I'm not doing the job in the Liverpool League because I know the teams that you go to. I was like, and the areas in Ashton Town, team from Wigan, going and playing on a park in the middle of Liverpool, and I just didn't see it as a good fit. So that's not doing the Liverpool League down. It's just the demographic and the league that they're in, and teams survive there and do well there. And to be fair, that league spat out some very good teams, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But for me, it was like I looked at the teams in the Cheshire League, and it was like Billinge, Knutsford, teams like
with proper ground.
Established proper ground, like Rylands were in it, and teams like that. So we ended up making the decision to apply, and we got into the Cheshire League. But my approach when I first started management, you just wet behind the ears, aren't you? You've never done it before, and I'd obviously always played like Northern Prem, so I was going off managers that I'd worked under, and like my standards as a semi-pro Northern Prem player, and I was trying to bring that into the group at Ashton.
And who did you look up to?
Some lads bought into it. To be honest, Stan. Yeah.
He's widely known as a great coach, isn't he?
As a coach, he's unbelievable. Honestly, he's top draw. He's very good, and he's a great fella. But yeah, no, I've worked with like Stan, like Renault at Clitheroe. Wilksey was my manager at Runcorn Linnet. So Steve, I played. I loved playing for Wilksey. I think he got the best out of me. I never really looked up to like an individual though. I sort of, as a manager, I think if you look up to mould yourself around one manager, you're not your own person. I sort of tried. You take the bits you liked out of each manager at the end of the day and develop your own style. So that's sort of what you do, I think. And I never set out to do that. I just think subconsciously in life, whether it could be work, if you're working with people and you move into another role, you take little snippets of how other people have done stuff. So I think I overcomplicated it at first, and then I think as time's gone on, I think the environment that you build in your dressing room and the lads and the togetherness of your group, I think is massively important. And my style at Clitheroe, with having Sefton Gonzalez up front, clipping into your 6'7" number 9 who wins every flick on, to go into Burscough with Lairdy up front who's not quite as tall and runs in behind. Your style has to change, and you have to adapt, and you're just constantly changing. But yeah, I just try and I look at what I've got in the dressing room and change and try and get the best out of the players, because the players are on the pitch. If you're setting up a certain way and your players aren't capable, or it doesn't suit them, you're not going to win games, are you? So
no.
I wouldn't say I necessarily have a style. I just try and get the best out of my players with what I've got, and just be flexible.
That's fair.
I think you've already hinted that you're a bit of a sulker when he gets into the changing room. How do you remedy that? How do you get back?
You're putting words in my mouth there.
No, but how do you get back to basics and pull the team back together
when
after a loss?
Yeah, look, when I had the biggest test for me was last season during October. I think we didn't win in 9 or 10. And I'm very, very nearly down tools. But what I did was I just said, like, you don't become a bad manager or a bad team overnight. There was obviously something not quite working, and sometimes when you lose a game, you just have to reflect and work on it. There's times where you'll play really well. You'll win a game but play poorly, and you come in and you're going, brilliant lads, and the music's on and they're all celebrating, and you leave on cloud 9. There's times where you'll win a game, you'll play well and lose a game, and it's sort of trying to be level-headed in your defeats. What I always do, I'll always watch my games back. So I'll say what I want to say in the dressing room emotionally after the game. Players have to deal with that. But if I was wrong on a Tuesday night or on a Saturday and I've watched it back, I'm the first one to stick a voice note in the group or go into training and pull the lads in and go, look, I've watched it back, it wasn't that bad, we've done this well, and keep the environment right, because I think the more you dwell on a defeat and pull out the negatives in performances, your environment just becomes toxic. Lads are just looking for the bad bits rather than the good. So yeah, I just think a lot of like reflection after games and a lot of analysis and looking at things lads have actually done well in games that you haven't necessarily seen live. Because
you miss the energy, don't you? When you're down 1-0, 2-0, you miss you don't see the energy that the players are giving.
Yeah, and you don't like last night's performance, for instance, for us, we were, and I've watched it back, we were poor going forward with the football, but you're looking at, like, for instance, you're looking at a player receiving a ball and looking up and they've received it well and they've got out of danger, and then you're blaming that player on the ball for not clipping a channel ball or not playing into feet, but then when you're watching it back, you're seeing the winger on the other side not coming inside and the forward making the wrong run, and you're sort of blaming the wrong person. And they're the sort of things that you need to analyse. So when you lose, it's just like I said, it's just a lot of self-reflection and adaptation, and just making sure that your plan's right for the Thursday going into the Saturday. I've said to the players, like, you don't get too high when you win, you certainly don't get too low when you lose. Like, you just game by game, and if you win a game, great. If you lose a game, work on it to be better next time.
Well, listen, we've got a few more questions. We're nearly at the end now, but I don't think we've ever asked this question on the show before. Do you have any disagreements with your backroom staff, and if so, how do you deal with them?
Yeah. We have, obviously, you've got me and Kirky as manager and assistant. You've got Nick as coach. I've got Belly, who's come back to the club, just overseeing things for me, just another pair of eyes. Look, everyone has their opinion, but I'm the manager at the end of the day, so if I want to play a player, I'll play a player. Kirky's one of my best mates, so even if we had a disagreement, it'd be done within 2 minutes. I'd never ever fall out with anyone over football, but one thing I always do is I always give an opportunity to give.
You fell out with me once.
No, Frank. He was on the other side of the fence. So. What was that? That was around Pascal, that wasn't it?
Yeah. That was
with the linesman.
But I think we'd actually won that game, didn't we? And then it was the game that we fielded.
Eligible player, and we were made up when we found out.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not going to name names, but we know who told you. But
I got a message straight away off that said person saying he's not allowed to play. Yeah. I actually got the message before I'd gone up to the bar to have a drink. It was in the changing room.
God. So you were already happy?
I was already like, I'll stick it in. You may even get the 3 points.
Yeah.
But yeah, that going back to that day, like, I don't know whether you want to touch on it, but it's like standards of, like, managers in dugouts as well with non-league football that I think's changed. Like,
it was hard work, Pascal.
Yeah, there's like what you said to that young kid on the line that day is I've got 2 daughters. It was a young girl on the line, and she's tore an absolute strip off her and called her like, I won't say what he said, but yeah, it wasn't. It was very, very sexist and wasn't nice. And the girl was like close to tears, and I was stood there looking at her, and I was like, I can't stand there and let an experienced lad say what he said to a young female liner.
He hadn't been there long at that stage. I think we brought him in mid-October-ish, so that was... Yeah. Was that Boxing Day we played, you know?
I can't remember whether was it the Boxing Day game? It may have been, it was the first game we had, you see. Yeah, it'd have been... Yeah. It was the first game we played, so it would have been around... It had been before Christmas, maybe Boxing Day, yeah. But again, Pascal's like, you know, I like him. I've known Pascal since I was at Ashton Town.
Yeah, off the pitch,
yeah,
totally
he's such a good bloke. But again, another manager that when the whistle goes, changes personality and lets themselves down. It happens. It
happens with us chairmen as well. We change our personality from time to time.
Oh, we all do.
I did a lot of shouting on Saturday, didn't I?
Well, I think we all did. I know I certainly did. What are your 3 negotiables for players who want to play for you?
Non-negotiables.
3 non-negotiables. So, I love a player that is hardworking, committed, and an all-round good lad. Like, players, obviously you've got to be a good footballer to play for me. Like that's a given. If that's in your non-negotiables, it'll probably take away the good lad bit, because you'd rather have an arsehole who's an unbelievable player than a good lad that can't pick a ball, I suppose. But how
do you deal with them arseholes though?
They don't last long.
They don't last long. Do you know pretty soon?
Straight away, yeah.
Straight away.
And I think, as a manager, like I say, like my biggest thing for me is environment in the dressing room and keeping the lads together. Like, I think if you've got a really good close-knit group, it sets you up. Like, we're not the best team in the league. We're not. There's teams probably better than us, but what we've got in that dressing room this season is unbelievable. Like, unbelievable.
So the core group of that team now has been together for what?
Yeah.
2 seasons?
Yeah, I've only
had it.
Well, no. After the Mughal game last season, when we got beat, my 10th defeat, I stripped a lot of the lads out. It's probably like midway through last season, I brought like Sheeny in, and you've got, I think, out of the core of the lads, you've got like Riggers, Kirky, Kean Bell, Hamo. Yeah, from start of last season. And then I brought in likes like Sheeny last season, Sam Turner, Cush, Will, and then Lairdy come in last season as well. So they've been together. The best thing for us was keeping them all through pre-season. I didn't lose a player pre-season. So to be able to build on your full group from the season before, it made my job so much easier. But yeah, like the player as a whole has to suit what you're doing in the dressing room. So personality has to be right. You have to be a good lad, committed, and just there for the club and for you, not in it for themselves, which you get a lot of.
Yeah. Speaking of being there for the club, so there's been some changes there in the last few weeks. Paul's now kind of stepped up to be the club president, and Jay's kind of taken over day-to-day running as chairman. How's that changed the setup at Burscough for yourself?
It hasn't really.
Okay. Were you often sort of going to Jay for?
Not really. Probably subconsciously for football things, I'd say, yeah, because I brought Jay back in for that reason. Yeah. Like Paul's a business. Paul's commercial.
Paul, and he doesn't pretend either, does he?
And I'm not saying anything he doesn't know or we've not discussed. Like Paul's probably not been to a Premier League game in his life. Like he's not really bothered about the football. Not saying he's not bothered about the football. He is bothered about the football. He wants the club to win and do well. But Paul's biggest thing with the football club is the commercial side and the infrastructure and making the club self-sustainable, which she's done really well at. And then Jay's obviously coming from a football point of view, and it just makes sense.
But the dynamics have changed a little bit now. I mean, I would imagine with Jay taking over as chairman now, you have to be more self-sufficient.
Yeah. I think the way the football club's ran as a business, and then you've got the football club. With Paul in charge, it was probably, helping the club out from one side and, moving things about so that we always had money in place. But then what Paul always tried to do is he always used to try and segregate money. So although the dynamics have changed in terms of it's probably a little bit harder, we're having to work harder to bring the money in, where it's coming from hasn't changed, if that makes sense. So it's still sponsorship, it's still gates, it's still FA Vars winnings, it's still football that pays for football. I just think in the past, Paul's probably dipped his hand out of the commercial side from the bar takings and stuff to help the football. But what we've got now is, as well, what we've not had is we've got a massive junior section as well. So now the junior section is integrated with the first team. It's all one. It's one big club. So financially, it's, I've been told, I'm not, not commercial director, but from my understanding is that everything's sort of in place for us to be self-sustainable and compete,
The big thing, of course, is to start pulling them gates back in again, which hasn't always been the case.
You go back to Burscough, though, even when they were in like the Conference North, the gates were probably only like 300-400.
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever had huge gates. It's not a big town, is it? And there's a lot of competition now with like Southport. Like if you're from Burscough or Ormskirk and you're a football non-league fan, you can go and watch Southport against Chester or Burscough against
arguably you wouldn't want to watch Southport.
Not at the minute. But they've got exactly Marine. They've got the big pub. Did you say Scam then?
Yes.
No, you get certainly Marine. You've got Marine. You've got Southport, haven't you? And then you've got like Cables. Cables are getting 1,000 on a Saturday. Like when I played for them, we were getting 200, 300 best. It's in boot. There's an abundance, isn't there?
Yes,
there's loads,
yeah.
and with Burscough as well. Don't forget you've got Bamber Bridge.
You do have the bridge,
which isn't far away.
No,
and
not at all.
Exton Villa and Charnock, and we're sort of in the middle of that.
Yeah, well, it comes to the question that we quite often ask on this show. Do you feel as though football in this area is very much diluted, or do you think there's enough space for everyone?
From a management point of view, I found it easier to sign a player at Clitheroe than I've ever done before.
Yeah.
Because that club is probably the biggest and best club in that catchment area.
South Ribble, East Lancashire kind of
You've
catch area.
You've got like Barnhalls with Paddy and Nelson, Cole.
Bake-Up.
Bake-Up's the other side.
Is it the other side?
Yeah,
Oh, right.
Yeah. Then you've got like Longridge, Bamber Bridge, you're in the league above, but can't compete with what Clitheroe can offer players. So it depends on the club you are. So you've always got a plethora of non-league teams in areas. It just depends on where you are in the. If you speak to Marine, they'll say no, we can sign a player, it's no problem because of it. If they want a player from lower, they'll come. Whereas the counties is littered with clubs from Manchester and Liverpool, but then it's the northeast, so it's going to be. So you look at Manchester, West, Rammy, Chadderton, Abbey Hay, Glossop.
You can sort of looking around forever, couldn't you?
And then you look at Liverpool and St Helens and Burscough in that with FC St Helens and City Liverpool, AFC Liverpool, Skem have been there, Burscough there, South Liverpool,
MSB Walton who have made the step.
Even like Ashton Town, it's but clubs have just got to, and that's where your environment and your dressing room is crucial. Like I've had a team from the Northern Prem on today about one of my players to go in, and he's turned around and said he doesn't want to go, and he's staying, and it's like, okay, well, that's your decision. But if players want to play for you,
I probably guess who that is.
If players want to play for you, no names mentioned. If players want to play for you, other players see that and they'll come in because they want to be a part of it. But yeah, there's a lot, isn't there? There's a lot of competition now for
but listen, when you're successful and you're in that right
Yeah.
end of the table, the top end of the table there, you're going to attract attention. There's no doubt about that. But that's a good position to be in, nonetheless. Listen, how far do you think Bearscough can go? And what do you think is their natural level? Because you mentioned the population. It has increased a little bit. There's a lot of building going on locally. It's a bigger town than it was.
I think if you can get... You look at other clubs, don't you, like West Didsbury. Like West Didsbury's got a hell of a lot of competition around that area, but they've got a demographic of like the university students and a young population going watching the games with a great atmosphere. Bearscough could be that. Like you've got Edgill around the corner, you know, you've got Leyland College, you've got like Ash, Jay's missus has a college, and we're getting the football college in place and stuff. So I think every club's got the potential to grab fans. Like you just need to make the match day experience right for me. But yeah, I feel like we're making strides on the football pitch now. So if people see that and they want to be a part of it and they want to come and support it, and we're getting like younger kids coming through the gates now as well, you know, from the juniors, and if they bring friends, and it can grow and grow and grow and grow. You've got to start somewhere, haven't you, essentially? So look, we've got everything in place. You know,
in terms of the infrastructure,
it's got everything in place. The bar, the grounds, we're good enough as a ground to go up. We wouldn't need to make any adjustments. We've got the bar, which commercially can pull revenue in. It's just whether that commercial revenue can feed into the football to up the budget if we were to go up. And yeah, it's really coming on. Like the match day experience now is miles better than it was when I first come in. So yeah, it can go as far as it wants to go, I suppose, is my answer to that. It just there's work that needs to be done, but isn't there everywhere?
Yeah. Probably a good note on which to end this interview. Listen, thanks very much for coming on the show. We hoped you'd come on a lot sooner than you did, but
we're very grateful.
We managed to get there, and we're extremely grateful. Good luck on Saturday. And when's the next round of the FA Vars?
The 8th. I think it's a week on Saturday.
And you're at home.
Ashton Town at home.
Ashton Town. Well, best of luck in that as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Cheers,
Take care.
Fellas.
Cheers. A heartfelt shout out to all the businesses supporting Skelmersdale United Football Club, especially T&W Garners and Pedro de Seda Enterprises. Thank you to everyone who donates to the club, supports our race nights, raffles, lottery bonus ball scheme, and the weekly draw in conjunction with NYCBA. A special thanks to those who organise such fundraising events, with a particular mention for the incredible Lee Davis and Rowena Hughes. To everyone who stands by us both on and off the pitch, we are truly grateful. If you wish to sponsor the show, please contact me at chairman.skemutdfc@gmail.com, or alternatively call me on 077 66054 548. All proceeds will go to Skelmersdale United Football Club. Thank you for your unwavering support. Hello and welcome to the third and final part of the show, and thanks very much to Dave Dempsey, who was our guest in the second part of the show. Really enjoyed the interview.
Excellent interview.
Speaks a lot of sense.
Yeah, it speaks a lot of sense. He's very grounded in his way that he manages his football teams and his players. Not quite a brash figure that we've spoken to in a manager on other occasions, but he's got his own sort of subtle way of managing a team, and it sort of reflects really well in how Bearscough are subtly moving up the table and getting themselves in amongst the traditional big boys, and I hope Dave won't mind me saying that. I think he's onto something serious there, and I think Bearscough could still be there by the end of the season.
Yeah, most definitely. Hope they do the business. Listen, both when you think about it, Skem and Bearscough, really rich pedigrees. We've talked about Bearscough winning the FA Trophy. And also Skem United Football Club winning the Amateur Cup back in 1971 at Wembley. Two proud traditions, and one can only hope that we can feed off the success that Bearscough are currently having right at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I don't know whether we go. Should we talk about Skem first, or should we just go into our predictions first?
Skem.
Should we go into Skem? Yeah. Well, listen. Yeah, we'll talk about Skem.
Yeah.
And the disappointing defeat on Saturday. Against the Grenadier. We knew we were up against it. The top of the league. They'd won 7 games on the bounce, whereas we'd won 1 in 5, 6, wasn't it? 1 in 6.
Yeah.
But we'd had a good little run ourselves of 2 games. The cup win
2 games in 2
FC Kirby, and then beating Granby Toxteth. I don't know whether you watched the little video. That's
the Granby Toxteth one.
Yeah, it was good. Wasn't it? I enjoyed that.
It really was. Yeah, it was a good little behind the scenes of how a team at our level is now operating day to day. It shows the togetherness. It shows the the integration of players within each other and how they're unifying themselves as a squad. Before, during, and after the game. It really was delightful, and it does show the passion that the players and the staff have for the club that is Granby Toxteth Athletic, and how much they put into it.
So moving on to the defeat, obviously, after such a good fortnight.
Deeply frustrating defeat, that one. So for those of you who weren't there and haven't yet heard the news, we lost by 9 goals to 4 to the Grenadier, and I know that sounds a bit like a hockey score, but it was one that we were on the receiving end for. It was a deeply, deeply disappointing result, and very frustrating in a number of ways.
Is it fair to say it could have been worse, but also we could have probably scored 2 or 3 goals more ourselves? They were good quality goals, by the way.
There were good quality goals. The third one from Darren Askew, I think, was excellent. It was a 4-man move that ended up with him sweeping it in from about 15 yards into the corner. I think what is particularly disappointing is the amount of goals that we conceded, but also the manner in which we conceded about half of those goals. I think if we looked back at any kind of recordings that had taken place, we would reasonably agree that at least 3 of those goals were entirely preventable. But it was sloppy football. We weren't switched on from minute 1, and I think we probably let them psych us out a little bit by the manner in which they played. They got under our skin. We're a naive team. We don't have a lot of experience in dark arts and gamesmanship.
Can we say that comfortably? Yeah, I think we can as well. I think the level of discipline is slightly different. I think it probably, once you're more accustomed to that level of discipline, it becomes the norm. And no disrespect to anybody that's involved with the league or those particular football clubs that we've faced, but there's quality footballers there. There's quality football played. We know that, but in terms of overall discipline, it's not what we're used to in the Northwest Counties.
It's not, and it's taking us a little bit of time to understand exactly how they operate at this level here by club to club. You take Granby Toxteth Athletic, lovely club, really well run, very friendly people, but I've never yet seen a manager sprint onto the pitch to celebrate with his players when scoring the opening goal after 20 minutes. That happened at Granby as well, against Granby, didn't it?
It did. But because we won that 3-2, maybe we've glossed over that.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. It was the Granby manager that...
you're talking about that, sorry.
Yeah. It was the Granby manager what had run onto the pitch after his player scored the opening goal to celebrate with him, and that's fair.
It was played in a good spirit, though. That's the difference between that.
Yeah, and they shook hands at the end of the game. There wasn't really any hard feelings. We wished them well for the season, and that was returned to us as well. This Saturday was a bit of a different atmosphere completely. There was a bit of a tension in the stadium from...
Well, there was a different feel to it, wasn't there?
Yeah.
A totally different feel from the minute that the so-called players turned up. And then proceeded to go out and get a few pints and come back in again.
Yeah, they did. We did have some trouble at the
clearly
gate.
Not players.
No, one of them contested to be an injured squad member, and then went out, got a few pints, walked himself to the dugout, and then
Well, he might have well been injured, but that doesn't mean he wasn't part of the squad, was he?
Not part of the playing squad today. Got to pay. So I've
raised listen, as you know, I've raised a few points with the league myself.
Yeah.
The comeback from that is that nothing has been seen.
No.
So
it's all speculation.
All I say in return to that is just because it's not seen doesn't mean to say it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
And we know what happened. We're not going to go into greater detail.
There's just been no point
about it. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to make the point that now that you know what's going on, maybe the observation of the games and the fixtures will be a little bit different. In the future. But listen, it wasn't a great game. But I think you mentioned the fact that we managed to score 4 goals against the top of the... Normally, if you score 4 goals, you win a game.
Yeah, if you're scoring 4 goals against the top of the league and not winning, you've got to be kicking yourself.
So I think we can clearly say, really, that we've not really got a big issue with scoring goals. We know that. I think we can score goals readily and easily. I think our problem is more defensive issues now.
Yeah, I think we did have some defensive issues. There were a couple of personnel.
And they all had a bad day at the office. For 4 people to have a bad day at the office, it's you can't counter that, can you?
Not particularly. No, there's sort of no way back from it, and I think our defence fought, but I think they struggled against the Grenadier. We were down 4-0 after 22 minutes.
4-1, wasn't it?
It was near it. Yeah, 4-0, 4-1, something like that one.
Was it 3? We got 3-1, 4?
No, it was 4-1.
Did we score a goal before the end of the first half then?
We did.
Yeah. I can't remember now. I lost count of the goals. But there was a lot of obvious mistakes.
A lot of obvious mistakes and a lot of things that I think Andy and Barney will have picked up on and be intent on trying to fix. And I'm sure they know this already, but my philosophy is somebody who's watched the game but has no real qualification to say it, is, defences can win your leagues. Attackers can win your matches. So I think he's going to want... It's
just as simple as that, really.
It is, yeah. I think it's a philosophy that served a lot of great teams really, really well. I mean, we look at the teams that are topping the tables right now. They've got really good defensive records, much as anything else. And I'm sure Andy is going to kind of work on fixing this. But yeah, there was a lot of errors in there, and we just gave ourselves way too much to do by letting them go into a 4-0 lead after 20 minutes. We just didn't switch on from the opening minute.
But we have to remind ourselves that we have had a good couple of weeks prior to that. And there's, I think the important thing, and I mentioned it on Saturday after the game, was that if you learn from your mistakes, then you can bring some success through those failures.
I think so, yeah. And these are only young kids as well, aren't they?
So try not to be too downhearted.
We looked at the Grenadiers team, and they were an established squad. They had a lot of players who were older than ours. We had 2 players over the age of 20? No, three players over the age of 26, 27, something like that one. So we are a young team. We are quite naive. We haven't been schooled in savvy football and experience and the ability to kind of stay calm when the pressure's on. That'll come with time. So
we play in the cup on Saturday.
Yeah,
we're away to Tsffs Athletic, I believe.
Yeah, a team that we've played before already this season.
Who I thought were one of the better teams we've played so far.
I think so. Yeah, they beat us by 4-0. They played by far the best kind of football that we'd seen since we've been in this league. They're up towards the top end of the table. I think they are second, maybe third in the table right now. They're all set for that kind of battle with us and with the Grenadier for promotion. I'm not sure if they're one of the teams that could be promoted. I'm not 100% sure, but nonetheless, a brilliant team, on the pitch, and I'm sure Andy's working really hard to kind of figure out a way around them.
And a question to you, really, as much as anybody else that's out there listening, in terms of personnel, do we make big changes on Saturday because it's a cup game, or do we stick to sort of the main frame of the team and make a few additions rather than a wholesale change?
Yeah, main frame and a few additions. I think we need to keep the core of the squad fresh.
Yeah, we need to see where we are when we get to play
this is it. I mean,
in the league again.
Yeah, exactly. If we were playing a team in a division below us, you could probably reasonably make changes and see how some of the lads go on now. But this is against Sefton. You know, we're going to be playing them 3 times before the end of the season. We've already played them once, and they've sort of got a win over us. So now we need to make it evident that we've kind of learned from our mistakes from that Sefton game and come back with a win. It was a different manager. It was a different lineup there, but nonetheless, we have to be showing to be making improvement here. Yeah,
most definitely. We'll move on to the predictions for the midweek and the weekend, and we'll go through them as quickly as we can. So tonight, Darwin are home to Cone. Going for Darwin. Nelson, MSB Walton. I'm going for Nelson. Played at Longridge Town. No idea why. Something to do with floodlights, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly.
Thornton Cleveland's versus Main Road.
Draw.
I'm going to go for Thornton Cleveland's. Bacup Borough versus Holker Old Boys. Well, Bacup are doing really well, aren't they, at the moment?
Bacup Borough do have
I'll go for a draw as well.
Oh, okay.
So in the Edward Case Cup first round, so we're talking about the Edward Case first round. That was for those other previous fixtures that we talked about there. So Telford Town versus Eccleshall. I'm going for Telford Town. The Premier Division tonight, Litherland, Remica versus Padiham. It's Padiham all day long.
Padiham for me.
Westonsbury and Chorlton versus Earlham. I think that's a more difficult one to call. Possibility of a draw.
Yeah,
but
I would say Westonsbury and Chorlton. They've been on a really good run recently. You know, they've beaten Burscough last weekend. Step Places Stadium's a horrible place to go at the best of times. Earlham, not as strong away from home as they are at Silver Street. So I think that's where Stitsbury and Shortlands.
Well, listen, I'm intent on beating you next week. So I'm studying those really well. So Saturday, the 1st of November, because we're into November, it's the FA Vars first round. Holker Old Boys versus Wythenshawe. Now, this was quite a contentious issue at the time.
Yes, it was it is the replay of the fixture that took place last week and was a victory for Holker Old Boys. Until it was discovered that the referee had incorrectly applied the rules of a penalty shootout to the game, which has forced a full replay. So this time...
unfortunately, I think it's bad news for Holker. I think we're sure they're going to win that.
Yeah, that being said, though, it's a home game. We know they're a lot harder to beat at home. And they've done it once. There's no reason that they can't do it again. Home win for me.
I'm going for Wythenshawe. So, Premier Division, Saturday, 1st of October, Cheadle Town versus FC St Helens. I'm going for FC St Helens.
I'm also going for FC St Helens.
Abbey Hay versus South Liverpool. I'm going for a draw there.
South Liverpool for me.
Atherton LR versus Glossop North End. Glossop have won again.
Yes,
Atherton LR having a little bit of a tricky time.
They are. It's a fair few losses for the LR in a row.
I think Atherton LR might just sneak this one.
I think they will as well. I think they've just got enough in the tank to kind of shorten out that fighting spirit from Glossop.
So Barnoldswick Town versus Bearscough. Will Bearscough give Barnoldswick Town a silent night?
Barnoldswick going to win 3-0. Good night.
You're joking, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Right, I'm going for Bearscough.
I'm also going for Bearscough.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jay, don't kill me. Charnock Richard versus Litherland Remica. That's
going over Charnock Richard.
Charnock Richard, yeah.
City Liverpool, Exton Villa. I think that's going to be a draw.
I'm going to say a draw as well, yeah.
Earlham Padiham. Going
that's
for Padiham.
That's a brilliant game, that one. Earlham versus Padiham. Now, this one probably... We've talked about Padiham invincibility and how that's been called into question.
Yeah.
I think this is probably one of those games where they come unstuck, so I'm going to say a draw.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm still going for Padiham. Pilkinson's versus West Disbury and Chorlton. Well, West Disbury.
Draw for me.
All right. Prestwich Hayes versus Ramsbottom. Going for Ramsbottom.
I'm going for the Rammy.
Stockport Town versus Chadderton. I'm going for Chadderton.
Yeah, Chadderton in 7th, Stockport Town in 12th. I think Chadderton might just scrape it, so it's a away win.
FC Isle of Man versus Longridge Town at the Bowl, 6 o'clock kickoff. I'm going for FC Isle of Man.
Longridge in 11. I'm going to say Longridge for that one.
First Division North, AFC Blackpool versus Steeton. I'm going for AFC Blackpool.
Going for a draw.
Ashton Town versus Thornton Cleaveys.
Ashton Town.
I'm going for that one. Daisy Hill versus Squires Gate. Now, normally I would have said this would be a much closer affair and possibly a Squires Gate victory, but I'm going to go for the Daisy Hill.
So I'm also going to go for Daisy Hill here. I think they're starting to get their act together. I think Nicky Hunt's starting to be on something now.
Yeah, just sort of pushing that olive branch closer to Aaron Hunt's face. Anyway, Darwin versus Ashton Athletic.
Darwin for me.
Yeah, I'll go for Darwin as well. Fullwood Amateurs versus Droylsden. Depends which Droylsden turns up, but I'm going for Droylsden.
I'm going to say a draw.
Right, fair enough. McGull versus Main Road. I'm going for McGull.
I am also going for McGull.
MSB Walton versus Cone. I'm going for Cone.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Cone as well.
Nelson versus Garstang.
Nelson.
But you know what? Top versus bottom.
Well, stranger things have happened.
Yeah, stranger things have happened. No, but still going for Nelson anyway. So First Division 1 South. Alsager Town versus Camel Lairds. I'm going for a draw.
I'm going to say Alsager.
Asheville versus Sandbach. Sandbach for me.
Draw for me.
Cheadle Heath Nomads versus Hormond. I'm going for Cheadle Heath Nomads.
Cheadle Heath Nomads.
Foley Mere versus Wolverhampton Sporting Wanderers. I'm going for Foley Mere. New Mills versus Market Drayton. I'm going to go for Market Drayton.
I'm going to go Market Drayton as well. Come on, Dan Dawson.
Yes. Shawbury United versus Allscott Heath. I'm going for Allscott Heath. Stockport Georgians versus Stafford Town. I've normally said Stafford Town on this one, but I've got a feeling Stockport Georgians might sneak this one.
Yeah, I think so
I'm going to
too.
go for them. Wow.
Ooh.
Telford Town versus Runcorn Town. Now that's a big game. That's the
huge game.
Yeah, if I'm right, isn't that the tale of two towns with bridges?
Is it?
Yeah. Telford got a bridge.
I don't know.
Is Ironbridge in Telford, or have I got my...
I don't know anything about Telford or Shropshire or anything like that. My geography's terrible. I just know that there's a bridge nearby, maybe.
Well, this is played at the DRM Aggregate Arena, so one can only assume that Telford Town have got extremely good...
Sand!
Yeah, well, I don't know. What did they play on, plastic or grass?
God, I don't know. We need to go down there for a game.
Yeah,
Boswell has invited us.
Yeah, we've got to go down there. But I'm just thinking, aggregate, then definitely they've got good drainage at Telford.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, so who do we go for here?
Oh God.
You know what? I think Runcorn will just about win that one. So I'm going to go for.
I want to think that with
home. Draw, then,
I think see, Telford are in action on Wednesday as well, which I think that'll be a Runcorn win as well. Yeah. And that's nothing on Boswell's team. I just think the turnaround's just going to be a bit too tight.
But listen, it will tell a tale or two if Telford do manage to get a decent win.
It will Telford a tale or two, won't it?
Love that. Yeah. Wolverhampton Casuals versus Eccleshall. I thought for a minute it said Brainsford Stadium there, but it's Brinsford. So I'm going for Eccleshall.
I'm also going for Eccleshall.
Monday the 3rd of November, Premier Division, Stockport Town versus Bearscough.
Stockport Town going to win 3-0.
I'm going for Bearscough.
I'm also going for Bearscough.
First Division 1 North, Daisy Hill versus Cone.
Daisy Hill.
I'm going for Daisy Hill. I think they're going to go on a little bit of a run, and I think
it's about time.
I think Aaron Hunt and Nicky Hunt have both said the same thing, that they still believe there's a chance of them making the playoffs, and I believe it. So moving back to the Tuesday, the 4th of November, the Premier Division, Atherton LR versus Longridge. Atherton LR.
I'm going to say Atherton LR.
Cheadle Town versus West Didsbury and Chilton. West Didsbury and Chilton for me.
I'm going to say a draw on this one.
I feel as if I don't dwell too long on thinking about these.
Carried away.
I've got a good chance of winning next week. So Earlham versus Chadderton. Now we talked about this one, didn't we?
And I will say Earlham for this one. Yeah, Silver Street Stadium is just problematic on its own.
Right, I'm going to stick my neck out and go Chadderton.
Whoa.
Padiham versus Abbey Hay.
Padiham.
Yeah, you'd expect Padiham. Abbey Hay, second from bottom, are they?
Yes.
Ramsbottom versus Barnoldswick. Ramsbottom every day of the week. Exton Villa versus FC Isle of Man. I'm going for FC Isle of Man.
I'm going to go with Exton Villa.
Tuesday the 4th of November, the Derbyshire Senior Cup second round, Shirebrook Town versus Glossop North End. I'm going to go for Glossop North End, but they could tinker around with the team.
Yeah,
certainly the new manager, if he's in situ by then, might just do that. So the Walsall Senior Cup first round on the 4th of November is Wolverhampton Casuals versus Coles Hill Town.
Yeah, I'm going to say Wolverhampton Casuals.
Yeah, I'll go along with that.
I've
got a clue who Coles Hill.
I think you might win this one just based on how many draws I've put down. Think about that.
You got 50.
I think I've probably put about 9 draws down.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to keep... listen, I'm getting really competitive now. Yeah. After you beat me 2 weeks on the trot now.
Well, I'll be honest, mate. I've beaten you about 7 by virtue of you failing to hand your homework in.
Yeah, well, you know what? If I can find all the paperwork, I'm going to go through it individually.
Well,
and by the end of the season, when you think you've won by a landslide, I'll let you know you haven't. Anyway, listen, that's our expert analysis and predictions for the week ahead. So just leaving us to those final moments of the show, what have we learned this week so far?
I have learned that, and I know it might sound really crazy given that I co-host a football-based podcast, but football isn't everything. And it's all fine and good engaging in the passion for the sport, but if that passion spills over where people get hurt, then that's not passion. That's another uglier term that I haven't quite found to define yet. And I think that people really need to take a reality check on what football means in the grander scheme of competition and health and well-being.
And I think we've mentioned it a few times, we just want to enjoy football, don't we? And if that means getting battered every week by a really good professional outfit, then obviously we don't want to win, but we take that much better than we're taking it at the moment.
Yeah.
But sort of a little bit more to that, really. I think we came away from that game, spoke to Andy, and Andy said the same thing. It wasn't an enjoyable experience. Apart from that, listen, we know where we went wrong in terms of the result, and we're not shying away from that, and we're not being angry so-and-so's because we lost. We're not spitting our dummy out or anything like that. But at the end of the day, it's got to be enjoyed. And what happened at the end of the game could have turned out a lot worse than it was. There was women and children involved. Yeah,
well, just in case any of you didn't notice, we didn't talk about it very early on the show, but one of the associates, I'd say, from the Grenadier actively remonstrated with a member of our squad and also a member of the supporters as well, in front of his wife and his grandchild as well. Putting a lot of concern in place there. There's no accounting for that kind of poor behaviour in sport at all, and it's never something to be entertained.
Yeah, and you just worry that things can unravel so quickly and take a turn for the worse. And what we don't want to see is we don't want to see people getting injured or hurt, or like happened with the Ormskirk West End lad. We don't want to see fractured skulls at football either.
Oh God!
There's no place for violence. Just give your head a wobble. Think about it before you go into battle. It's just not worth it. And worst case scenario is if you hurt someone, you end up losing your liberty as well. And football, it's not worth losing your liberty over football. It's certainly not worth losing your life either.
No.
So listen, I'll leave the final words to the dulcet tones of AJ.
You've been listening to the Speaking Frankly Football Show with me, AJ Vergette, and my co-host, Mr. Frank Hughes. We are available on most streaming services wherever you get your podcasts, including Amazon Music and Spotify. Please rate and review, as we do thrive off hearing your feedback. Please also subscribe so that you can hear firsthand when a new episode has been released. We're also available on social media outlets. under the banner term Speaking Frankly Football Show. So please go ahead, give us a like, give us a follow, and engage with us directly on the social media site. And so from Frank and myself, we'll see you next week with another episode of the show. Until then, a very good night and goodbye for now.